Oh, it's so wonderful to see you again. Come in and unwind. Welcome back to the Celestial Cafe, a podcast for the magical mind.
So come, take a seat. Would you like something sweet? A star drop potion for the soul? Maybe an enchanted eclair as a treat?
I just baked a batch of warm cookies with a dash of moonlight. I wonder what will happen if you take a little bite.
Here is your bewitching beverage. Let each sip melt your worries away. It's time to open your mind. I wonder what magic awaits us today.
Oh man, I forgot to unmute my microphone. Hey everybody, welcome back to Celestial Cafe podcast. How's everybody doing? Hello, welcome in. Slight technical difficulty to start, but that's okay.
I mean, are you really a streamer if you don't forget to unmute your mic sometimes?
True. Well, welcome back to the Celestial Cafe podcast, everybody. How are you doing? How's it going? Hello, fellow hosts. Hello, fellow kids.
Greetings.
Hi.
What's going on? Happy to be here.
We have Fuchsia back with us today. Hooray, hooray.
Yes,
welcome back, Fuchsia. Today is going to be a very exciting episode of the Celestial Cafe podcast. We are doing our spooky Samhain special. We're going to be talking about the thinning of the veil, Samhain, Halloween, and all things spooky, scary skeletons. So ghosts, some spiritual. So what do we think about ghosts and the paranormal? And if you hear me talking with a little bit of a slight lisp, it's because I'm wearing fangs. If you're not seeing the video version of this podcast, which we stream live on Twitch, every time we make an episode, and this goes up on our YouTube channel as well. We're in costume today.
Yay! This is the episode to watch if you haven't watched one yet.
I'm not in costume. I'm just a unicorn.
Yeah, this is a normal day for Fuchsia.
Honestly, I'm just dead inside. I actually just didn't wear my usual costume that I wear.
We're coming with jokes. I love this.
But
I dressed up, unfortunately.
Duxley also has beautiful, vibrant, bright hair. Oh my goodness.
Yes, thank you. I'm very excited. I'm finally pink. I've been claiming I'm pink all along and had no way to prove it until I decided to stop being lazy and re-dye my hair after like 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen you with pink hair.
Yeah. Things did go awry. It's a little bit more vibrant than I desired, but I'm happy.
It
feels
good
autumnal
on you, though.
ultimately.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm not complaining, but I was kind of hoping like this nice pastel pink. Something went wrong.
Well,
yeah,
give it about a month.
Yeah.
Not even. Pink can just like a week in hot water. Hot water.
True.
Okay, well, this depends on how often you wash your hair, but
Okay, fair.
So, this is the Celestial Cafe podcast. This is a podcast where we meet up twice a month, once around the full moon to discuss the full moon and the astrology associated with it, and just kind of like some seasonal information, maybe about like what type of moon it is, Hunter's moon, and these types. What other ones do we have? Hunter's moon, Badger
the Beaver's moon
Worm
is coming
moon.
up.
Strawberry moon.
What's coming up, Panthera?
The Beaver moon is the next one for November.
Awesome.
Nerd.
Yeah.
And the second time that we meet up a month is a variety episode where we talk about a variety topic. Could you have guessed that? But it's all related to spirituality, witchcraft, magic, and today is a variety episode, so we'll be discussing ghosties. I'm super excited. I love these types of conversations. This is what I used to have people over to my, like when I would have sleepovers when I was a kid, and the 3 a.m. like, let's talk. Did you ever see a ghost? Have you ever seen a UFO? Was Bigfoot real? Like, these types of conversations are always my favorite, so I'm very excited for this. But here at the Celestial Cafe, we do love our tasty beverages and our delicious, tasty snacks. So we like to start out by talking about what we're sipping on. So what did everybody bring to the table? I'm boring as hell, and I got a Dr. Pepper with a sippy straw. That's it. My water too, of course, but...
You don't have the Holy Trinity today?
Well, I have my watered down coffee, but I'm not drinking it anymore. I might, well, I don't know. Now I kind of want some. So yeah, the Holy Trinity is complete. The Dark Pact has been accomplished.
Today I got water. Yes, indeed, I do. What a shock. But also, I took the initiative and made some hot chocolate in my froggy mug.
Ooh. Everybody's having hot chocolate lately. I'm so jealous.
Not only is this hot chocolate, it's marshmallow flavored hot chocolate. So there's no marshmallows in it. It's just flavored like marshmallow.
Panthera was telling me that she puts vanilla in her hot chocolate.
My homemade vanilla extract, which I have on my Instagram reels if you want to see how I make my vanilla extract. And my hot chocolate recipe is also on there too.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I do a little, I put a little cinnamon in mine as well. I like cinnamon in the hot chocolate. I've definitely done the vanilla strat. Pardon?
A little peppermint extract on occasion.
Yes.
Peppermint
That's huge.
hot
but
chocolate.
vanilla is definitely my go-to. Just a little bit. It just brings out the flavor of the chocolate more.
I agree. Yeah.
Good.
And that's
I agree. I'm sitting here agreeing with all of this. Like I can actually drink hot chocolate. I can't.
That's right.
But I'm like, that sounds good. Oh, that's good too.
Oh yeah, chocolate.
And I'm just like,
not the chocolate allergy.
Yeah, I see Mama Shark Sasha. Oh my goodness, in the chat saying hot chocolate is needed because it got to 34 for a low recently. It did. It is
indeed
being freezing. I think Panthera, you had some snow the other day.
I did too.
The past 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It is a new record since I moved to Ohio for the earliest snow that I've experienced up here at least.
Yeah, we didn't get snow here, but I know other parts of Illinois got snow a couple days ago, but it dropped overnight. It dropped from 65 to 40, and now it's back to 75, and I'm just like, this is just fall. We don't have fall, we just have very confused October. So
what did y'all tell us what y'all were drinking on?
Oh no, we went off on a tangent.
Yeah, we did.
So I have my water. I have the Holy Trinity today. I have my water. Nice. I have my cherry Coke Zero, and I have apple cider.
Yummy.
That's fun.
I was like, oh, that would be thematic. I was like, I'm not really feeling tea today. And then I was at Target and I was like, apple cider.
So seasonal.
That's awesome.
Yay.
I love that.
So
good shit.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well,
Tara, did you say what you're drinking?
I just got my headset back on. I can't see, so I'm trying to block my ring light so I can see.
Panthera is wearing whiteout lenses, so she went full throttle. Yeah, maybe we should take a second to talk about our costumes too.
True.
We can describe them for the podcast listeners. I made my hair as big as possible, so it's big and curly and a little wild looking, and I've got some little cat ears on that have a little flower crown in between. They're kind of a rose gold aesthetic. The inside of the ears are sparkly gold. They're hard to see. I actually wish the cat ears sat lower on the head. They're very tall. They're almost more like a tall rabbit ear, and I like cat ears that sit on the side of the head. But they're from Dollar General, and my family friend got them for me. So they're very cute. I'm very grateful. And then I did my makeup. Nice. I was just planning on putting a little cat nose on and some whiskers, but then the makeup was in front of me, and I had the body painting just slightly. Yeah, it was just a little bit of a flow. So I feel like I've got glam Neko vibes going today.
I love it.
I got my little choker on with my gold square. It looks like a little cat collar. So I'm not toasty. I actually went out to get my soda a second ago, and my aunt said that I am a vampire cat. So because I'm also wearing little fangs.
Lore.
Cats have fangs.
Lore.
I only have fangs that sit on, you've got your two front teeth but make a buck tooth, and the two teeth next to that, not your canines,
your secondary incisors.
Yeah, so that's where I have my fangs fitted to, because I think it looks cooler. But they're not technically my canines, so I guess that's why I look more vampire-ish. But so that's my costume. I'm a cat. Duh.
I'm a lamb. I do look a bit like a chobit.
Yeah, you do.
I'm a bit of a chobit, but that's okay. And I think that this would have looked more lammy if I kept the white blonde moment. But I was ready to go back to pink because the ears are white. So I feel like they would have blended in a little bit better if I stayed with the bleach blonde. But I said, fuck it. It's time. It is time. I also have a, what do we call this? What do we call this little interesting jewelry piece on my head.
Like a
headpiece
a
or
forehead.
head jewelry is
I
what
would
I've always.
I would call it a forehead crown.
A forehead crown? I got that going for
So
me.
it's like a little like a drapey gold chain that hangs down and like almost like imagine if you put like a little beanie on, and where the beanie sits around the crown of your head, that's where the chain drapes, and there's a jewel hanging directly in the center, almost over the third eye.
Yeah, it's
makes me think of like what a belly dancer would wear.
That's kind of where I was going. Yeah, I think that works. But yeah, I'm supposed to be a lamb, and I got little bows on my lamb ears and little bells, so you're gonna have fun with that editing. You're gonna hear me jingling all night.
Amazing.
And honestly, my favorite part of this outfit are my sparkly freckles that are little hearts.
So cute.
So I just put a whole bunch of little stuff together. I'm meant to be a lamb. I'm meant to be a lamb.
Yeah,
But I'll take Chobit.
This is great. Don't trust me in chat says the childlike empress from the Neverending Story. The empress from the Neverending Story wore a headpiece like this.
Yes, you're right. I love it. And just outfit, whatever. I just chose things that are soft pastel colors.
Yeah, I put on my cool little see-through shirt. It's got little butterflies on it, so I kind of went for like a goth cat moment.
I love it.
Panthera, what you got going on?
Ooh, I'm a ghost.
Boom. I'm scared.
I'm a ghost. So I kind of went a little ham because this is something that I've had planned for such a long time, but I never did it. But this particular like ghost costume I wanted to do back when I used to do cosplay. And me and my roommate at the time would do a lot of like pair cosplays together, and she had this like we called her like the scrying witch, but she had like the short choppy blonde wig, and she had like one whiteout eye, and then it was like black, like almost like decay over one side of her face, and then she had like a glass orb that she would look in, and I was supposed to be like the ghost like haunting her like behind her in the photos or like around her. So that was like our idea for like Halloween cosplays one year. But so I had like a dress, and I had the idea for everything for a long time, but I've just never done it until now.
Honestly, you're wearing like white body paint, but you just have the same skin tone that I do. My ghostly white skin.
Yeah, I live this.
Yeah.
Yeah, did the full white body paint. I've got my whiteout contacts in, which are a white mesh. It is very difficult for me to see right now, so I apologize, chat, if anyone's trying to talk to me. I am not as responsive as usual.
It gives you more the appearance of like the ghost not ever looking directly at you. They're looking off.
Exactly, because I literally am not seeing anything.
It's also making you role play because ghosts aren't actually in this dimension, so you can't
Exactly.
You can't fully.
Where are you? I don't know. So normally these aren't too bad, and like that's why like when I was trying to fix my headset, you guys saw me doing this, but when the light isn't in front of my eyes, it's a lot easier to see. But when the light reflects off of the white of the mesh lenses, it makes it like there's like a cloud in front of me basically. So it's very difficult for me to see, almost impossible for me to read. But
you're literally
I've
method
got, like,
acting.
the white
I love
paint.
it.
I've got my white wig on. I did some like black and gray contour. I got my black lipstick. I freaking love black lipstick. I wish I could wear it more often.
Wow.
And then I decided to go with the black dress instead of the white dress. I thought it like contrasted.
The contrast
makes the hair pop out.
Yeah.
I agree. Good call, Panthera.
Oh, and I'm drinking a Pepsi with a straw.
That's very ghostly.
Lipstick tea.
Yes. Very ethereal.
That's really in character.
They have.
I should have had some booze.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
They have
It
Pepsi
begins.
Beyond the Veil. That's their Halloween drink.
I
sipping
accept
some
offerings in caffeine.
Sipping some spirits.
Pepsi is the jump scare of all sodas, so this works out.
No, I love it. Don't yuck my yum.
And
Sorry, I had to jump in for the Pepsi slander.
What is your costume?
Oh, I love Pepsi.
I'm a unicorn. I'm wearing a masquerade mask. It's blue and it's got like silver swirls, and it has this star that also like flashes, and
What the?
a unicorn horn. And I made this. I've got like a moon. I've also got hair stuck
Aw.
in it, apparently. I've got like jewels all over it. I made this for a masquerade party last year. So I'm excited to bust it out for Halloween
So
finally.
cute.
Nice.
And
love
then
it.
I have this dress that matches, but the best part about this dress is that it's got like big,
Long,
like
creepy-
bat wing
Wow.
Love it.
arms. I
That's
love it.
awesome.
So
Cozy.
but, yeah. And then I like yesterday I was like, I don't have like unicorn ears, but my headphone has cat ears, so just pretend they're bigger, like bigger and pointier. Just
Yeah,
pretend.
yeah. You gotta use
So-
your
Use
imagination.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
it's
there.
not my fault.
I'm
It's
there.
your fault if you don't see it.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta open.
That's a
your
you
mind.
problem.
You gotta peel that third eye open. Okay, you got a calcified pineal gland, and we're not standing.
Yeah, you
for
gotta
it.
activate your almonds immediately.
All right, so Celestial Cafe podcast, right? Yeah, we're doing this
Yeah.
thing.
Happy early Samhain.
Happy
everyone.
Samhain!
Yes.
Yeah, happy
Samhain.
Halloween! Oh, I'm so
Happy
excited.
Halloween.
I'm not super festive this year, although I don't know. I put this costume on and I'm feeling very powerful, so maybe I will do like a big look for Halloween. But yeah, I don't know. I love Halloween. I think probably everybody that listens to this podcast would say this is one of their favorite times of the year. I think that just kind of goes without saying. It's
It's the season of the witch.
it's the season of the
It
witch.
is.
We got everyone dresses up. I love what I love the most about Halloween. I guess let's start with Halloween and then we'll lead wherever that goes.
Sure.
What I love the most about Halloween is people, if they open themselves up, they become who they really want to be, and they show
Panthera
themselves.
really wants to be a ghost.
Well, it's
The
cool.
truth come out.
Like, so if you go to like a Halloween costume, like think back to high school and you go to a Halloween costume and everyone that actually does it and they don't just do some kind of cop out like I'm wearing a baseball jacket so I'm a baseball player. Like, you know, if they don't do something, if they actually put their heart into it, then it's like they're
I still think that says something about them.
I think it says they're lazy.
Exactly.
I think it
That's
says
what I'm saying.
that yeah, their almonds are not activated. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's cute. Like I mean, I guess we get the Mean Girls is on my mind because I just did a TikTok with the little I'm a mouse. But thinking how like Lindsay Lohan's character shows up as the Bride of Frankenstein, but no, she says an ex-wife. That's what she calls herself.
Yeah.
And but everyone like it's this cool like. With Panthera, it's like you're bringing out this like dark side of yourself that you don't normally express, right? It's kind of like there's a little bit of a repression that gets to come out, and this is why like I do think we see a lot of very like sexy costumes on Halloween because it's who we live.
I'm usually a sexy Halloween wearer, which I think surprises people because I'm not a very
yes
sexy person. But I like the low cut short skirt.
I remember one time I went as a magician's assistant and I was basically wearing like little it was basically like a bikini bottom and like the fishnet tights with like multiple layers on it.
I love that.
Shiny tights and then like a corseted top and like a big feather boa and
So
I just
fun.
remember some random because it was at the punk house I lived at and some random guy came up to me and was just like making some kind of comment about how like I deserve to be cold or something like that, and it was
Right.
that I think that's why we live in a slut shame society, right? So a lot of us don't get to dress as sexy as we want to all the time. And just because of like kind of general perception of that. And then Halloween is like just like they say in Mean Girls, it's everyone is allowed to be as slutty as they want and no one can say anything about it. I think that's probably why it's a repressed expression, generally speaking. We're punished for being too much of that.
I also like
again,
the,
I'm speaking in generalities, but
the creativity of it. Like to me,
Yeah.
like I love seeing other people's makeup looks, but I just can't do like the super cut crease with like the rainbow across the eyelid, like that detailed worth of makeup. I love makeup, and if you've followed me, I know some of the people who might have followed me from before when I used to do cosplay a lot. Body paint is like one of my favorite things to do. Like I just love doing like big looks and everything, and I feel like I don't know, I like the like tones and being able to shade, and it's like painting on your face, like even more so than normal makeup. So I just love the like the creativity of it. And Halloween is one of those things. It's like, what other times of the year am I gonna like paint myself a whole different color? Like,
and I love that I could just like for the next week. I mean, it's today we're recording this on the 21st of October. For the rest of the month, really, I could go anywhere in costume, and people they would not question it. And I mean, really, I could do that any day of the year, anytime I wanted. You just get a little more of a reaction. But this now people would. If I went like out in June, like, and I went in even something like this is just a simple cat costume. But if I went in a full cosplay out to like the grocery store, people would probably just side eye and whisper kind of thing. But around Halloween season, people are excited and celebrate you, and
it's so different because like last year, like we had a Halloween event. Well, we had like a big Halloween party at the witchcraft shop, but before that, like we had events like little like workshops leading up to that for a couple of weeks, and like we had like a hat making workshop like where we made all witches hats and everything. And so like I would wear like my big like witch hat to that, and like people on the train would be like looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's October, what are you doing? And it's just like some people just have lost their imagination. It's really obvious in October. So
I've always, this is my favorite holiday, just hands down. Halloween's the best time of the year. I love it.
Wonderful time. Halloween.
and it's funny because Panthera, you're talking about makeup. I'm more keen on costume design. I used to sew a lot and create costumes. One of my favorite costumes that I made growing up was a tornado. I made like it was just like a plain black dress, and then I like attached and sewed like a bunch of strings, and I like put like a whole bunch of stuff at the end of the strings, and then I'd spin in a circle and everything would swing like around me like little cows. Yes. I would have cows and like little houses. That was like one of my favorite things. I loved making costumes. I don't know anything about makeup. I literally just did my daily makeup today. I don't know what I'm doing. But just the excuse. I think that this is a time where a lot of people who maybe aren't usually artistic tap into that artistry or that sense of style. You know what I mean? That expression. And I love that. But I've also always been so drawn to the esoteric part of Halloween as well. I've always been so enamored by the ghost stories and this thinning of the veil, which I didn't know the phrase of when I was younger, right? But that's exactly what I was feeling and experiencing and embodying at that time. And doing Ouija boards with my friends, like that kind of stuff. I always felt that it was such a fun way, like those little things that, once again, maybe at other times of the year, people are scared or don't want to go there or don't want to talk about it. These things are more normalized during this month. And I just appreciate that. It's a safe time for me, you know? Yeah. And I think it's a safe time for a lot of esoterically minded pagan individuals, you know?
Yeah. I just love how, like, you talked about it a little about, like, the creativity that comes out, because like what other holidays do you think of that like are like wildly celebrated that there's a lot of crafts involved in, like carving pumpkins and making your Halloween costumes, like decorating, like making wreaths, like people make like the wreaths to put on their doors, and most people for Christmas they just hang up a wreath, but people like and there's like so many, like I was doing a lot of crafts for my channel, for my YouTube channel last year, and then I didn't put up half the videos that I still have on my hard drive that I was going to put up this year, and then depression happened, so next year. But like I did like a ton. I made my own broom last year. Like I carved pumpkins for the very first time. We made witches hats.
Fun.
I spent 2 months making fairy wings for my Halloween costume, and then they got destroyed on the train before I even got to the party. But I've learned better techniques since then, so maybe one day I will attempt it again. But like I like, and it's just like so creative. I love it. I mean, I love putting crafts into my craft. So just like that part of it is great. I also used to make Halloween costumes all the time. I mean, I'm saying I used to make Halloween costumes. I still do. Mitch Hedberg, if anyone knows that reference. See, I can make references too. You just don't know them.
No, I love Mitch Hedberg.
But I used to make Halloween costumes as a kid, and my favorite Halloween costume, well, one of my favorites was, there was a band that I listened to that was a very local Boston band called Angry Salad, and I loved them. So I made a Halloween costume that was Angry Salad, and it was literally just like a plastic green tablecloth with a head opening draped over me, over like another like green fabric, and my mom and I spent like a month cutting out pictures of produce in the grocery flyers and sticking and like attaching them to this plastic tablecloth, and I had to go around all grumpily all day, which I was really bad at, by the way. But I only have a resting bitch face when I don't try. So but that was like, it was like nobody got it because nobody knew this band, but it was like one of my favorites. My other favorite costume was what I call the ADHD Halloween. I couldn't decide what I wanted it to be, so I just decided to be Halloween. Wow. And I had little parts of all these different costumes. So like I had like a bloody axe, and I had fairy wings, and I had a cheerleader pom-poms, and like I had all these different things all in this one costume. So.
I think I was thinking my favorite Halloween costume might be the one that I did last year. Like I think I went as like a dead prom queen when I was like 16 or 17, and I went and got like a cheap prom dress from the thrift store and like ripped it up and bloodied myself up. That's one that stands out in my mind of like Halloween costumes. I was Baby Bop. Was I? No, I was a witch. My little sister was Baby Bop from Barney. Okay, my brother is Barney, my sister is Baby Bop, and I was a green-skinned witch with a long nose when I was like 6. That's another one that stands out. But last year, I was Ursula from The Little Mermaid, and I think this might be the hardest.
That was phenomenal.
I remember that. Yeah, you did such a good job with that.
It's the only actual cosplay I've ever done. Most of my costuming is like OCs, original characters. Like I just kind of create.
Yeah, like closet cosplays.
Yeah, I create things, but this one I actually like pulled out some polymer clay. I made her little spiral earrings, I made her spiral necklace, painted them, baked them in my oven, had my own custom jewelry. I made the wig. I got a lace front white wig from Amazon, and I teased it all up. I did like a glamazon Ursula kind of situation, and Red Terror on Twitch. I didn't actually take it out into the real world. I would love to wear that look around a convention. I think that would be a lot of fun.
So fun
to actually.
You would get a lot of positive attention.
Yeah. And another reason why I think I liked that costume so much is it was kind of like me embracing like my weight gain and like choosing to cosplay a plus size character.
I was gonna say she's like a plus size legend.
Yeah.
So like and sort of stepping into that power.
I think cool. I think that kind of made me feel powerful because it's like nobody can do Ursula like a plus size girl can. Like,
true.
So it was that was I think and I did body paint for the first time. I bought some of the Mevron, I think it's called, body paint. I'd never done body paint before, so it was my first. I did like a little like a Joker from like a Joaquin Phoenix Joker like the week before just to test the paints out and figured out how they worked. But so I think that is the best costume I've ever done, and probably one of the most. I wish that I had gone out into the world, but it was also still like tail end of pandemic, and I wasn't about to go party hopping or anything. So,
what about you, Pantera? What was your favorite costume?
So, this is tough. So, I don't know. Like, growing up, I had a lot of fun costumes. When I was in kindergarten, I told my mom I wanted to be a ring-tailed lemur, and she had to, like, look up what that was. Yeah. She had no clue what a ring-tailed lemur was. I was adorable. And then I was a werewolf for, like, 3 years in a row at some point in elementary school. I was Darth Vader one year, which was fun. I don't know. I was, like, a lot of different things. When I got to like adulthood, because I got into cosplay so much that like when Halloween rolled around, I was just kind of like and I'd kind of throw together just like a look kind of like this. Like I'd be like a a vampire with just some like cool makeup and like the cool eyes and stuff like that. I worked at Spirit Halloween one year, which is really fun. So I
Nice.
just did a bunch of different like makeup looks each day because they encouraged us to dress up
that's
as the
so fun.
employees. It was so much fun. I was a Rocket Raccoon one year, which was really fun. It was like my cosplay before I did cosplays, and I made like the little
Cute.
jumpsuit. I had the raccoon tail. I had a big gun. Like, it was a really fun little costume. But
I love
yeah,
that.
I don't know. Like, now it's like, what cosplay haven't I worn for a while? Like, I think last year I was just my Harley Quinn, which I had done many times before. Like,
Your Harley Quinn is so
just like,
cute.
what
and
have I
good,
I was gonna
though.
say you're a very good
Yeah.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah, you got the energy.
another excuse to wear black lipstick. So I love it. But yeah, I don't know. I dress up all year long, so
True. Yeah, when you cosplay, I guess Halloween's just another day.
it's like, ooh, now everybody. It's like group costumes, though. That's when like
True.
Halloween is like awesome.
I've never done that, and I always want to, but I
Aw.
would need a group of people who can decide on anything to do.
I'll go to a
and
Halloween party
all
with
of all of my closest friends are Libra risings. All of us. We cannot make a decision to save our lives, so nothing ever happens. I don't know how
God.
this happened, but
But
we're
you guys
all
could
Libra
also
risings.
like glam up with that Libra rising too.
Yes,
you
but
would be
first
so
you have to-
powerful.
first, you have to decide what we're going to be, and then we can glam up with it.
you. You just
But-
spin a wheel, leave it up to chance, roll a d20, and each one has a different idea.
I
Yeah.
also shout out to all the years I was Pikachu, which is like at least half my life. Like Pikachu is my ride or die Halloween costume. You can't go wrong with throwing on
She-
your Kigurumi.
She
And-
was still waiting for her costume until yesterday, and she thought she was going to have to be Pikachu again.
It was very traumatizing. I was very ready to not be Pikachu this year, and thankfully, my dream came true. Another one I also did a lot was the sleepy Pokemon trainer, which is me in my pajamas carrying around all my Pokemon plushies.
That's super cute, actually.
Anything to get Pokemon out of there. But
Oh, I did
Yeah,
forget.
I think-
Earlier this week, I was my own D&D character, which is the first time I've ever
Yeah.
cosplayed my own characters before. And that was so much fun. And that episode will be going live on NB Wild's channel next Wednesday.
Ooh.
So if you want to see my rootin' tootin' blood hunter Riley Renwood, she
Cool.
will be in the flesh next week.
that's so cool.
Yeah,
It looked
think-
awesome.
Surprisingly, last year, I'm pretty sure it was the first time I ever dressed up as a witch for Halloween. And like I went all out. Like I did it was like I had a black wig, and like it was very like dark witch, and like I had this giant hat, and I even had like those giant eyelashes and everything, like, and it was all like black and white makeup and everything. But I think that's like the first time in my entire life that I've ever actually dressed up as a witch for Halloween, which is kind of funny because I have so many witch hats, but I just collect them. But like growing up, my family was a family of seamstresses, so it was like, what do you want to be this year? I want to be a cow. Okay, I will make you a cow costume from scratch. So like I had a lot of
my
just
God.
like more unique costumes because of that. Cow's not that unique, but that was the first thing that came to mind. But I had a lot more like
wanna be a
unique
cow.
costumes because of that. A princess jockey, because I was really obsessed with horses and also princesses. So princess jockey, that was I combined a lot of costumes. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
I actually think that I'm wearing my cop-out costume today. When I have nothing else to wear, I am a cat. Because I almost always
but a
have...
very cute cat.
Oh, thank you. I almost always have like
Yeah.
clip-in cat ears. I used to have a really cute set of like big pastel ones I got from an anime convention, but I gifted them to a 10-year-old who's entering her furry era. So I was like, these will be well loved, I'm sure.
I love
I
it.
did forget to one year when I was working at the little dog store that I used to work at, all of us who was working there that day dressed up as different regulars dogs.
Oh my god, that's
so
cute.
like I was a husky.
That's so
Because
cute.
this one, there was a pack of huskies that came in, and I was one of their
That makes-
huskies, and then somebody else was like a bulldog.
That makes me think,
And it was really
when I worked
cute.
at the coffee shop up here for a couple of years, the last year that we all worked together, everybody dressed up as someone else at the coffee shop. So
Cute.
everybody was just like dressed in each other's normal wear. So it was like
That's
a
That's
style,
so fun.
like a style swap day almost. It was really cute. And some of the regulars understood and got it, which was also like a lot of fun to see.
That's so fun.
But for the average person walking in there, we just looked normal. 'Cause, like, we're just, I mean, sort of. Like, it was very caricatured of the other person. So,
That's great. I love
yeah,
that.
it was cute. So yeah, we talked a lot about Halloween costumes. So how do we want to? I don't know. I feel like we should talk about ghosties and spirits.
Do we want to talk about the thinning of the veil?
Yeah, we can talk about Samhain and the
maybe-
differences between Samhain and
maybe how
Halloween
we
and kind of how
celebrate
it...
and practice this time of the year.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
I've never like gone out of my way to do, like, I'm still over the last couple of years has been me like stepping into like my pagan identity and like all of that kind of stuff. So for me it's been pretty generic or normal cultural kind of stuff of like going trick-or-treating, Halloween parties, carving pumpkins. And I've never been a big apple cider person. I've never gone apple picking or anything. I'm not really like apples are right, but I'm not like an apple fanatic. Like
Really? I'm an apple fanatic.
I'm an
I
apple
love
fanatic.
apples.
Ooh, this is
They're
the
high.
first
like
year.
apples by themselves, but like cooked cinnamon
This is the
apples
first year,
or like apple cider.
aside from the pandemic, this is the first year that I haven't gone to apple picking since I moved to Chicago. Usually our friend group makes a whole big day of it, but I was in Detroit when they went, so this is the first year I haven't gone apple picking.
I've never gone apple picking, but I'm down for apples.
I
Like we make a whole day. It's called our fall extravaganza. We go apple picking.
Cute.
We have like a picnic. We go to we used to go to this gourmet chocolate shop, but they retired and closed it. But like we have this whole day that we do in this little town in Michigan, and it's
That's
so
fun.
much fun. Yeah.
I like to spend a lot of like Halloween time, generally speaking, I go into horror mode. I want to have people over
that's right.
and watch horror movie marathons. I want to go ghost hunting. I want to go to the graveyards. And I've never been much of like a Ouija board person or like really trying to contact the dead. That's never really been. I always thought it was kind of cheesy and like try hard is like how I guess, like if I was like high school and someone's like come over and let's play the Ouija board, I'd be like, oh my god, you're such a loser. But because I'm highly skeptical. Even though I love the paranormal, I'm highly skeptical. So 9 times out of 10 whenever I was involved with the Ouija board, I'm like, you're moving this and I'm not stupid. Like I'm not dumb. But I'd love to talk about Ouija boards like in general, because and there was a method that I think is more my opinion of Ouija boards is not just sit there and put your fingers on it and not doing anything. I saw this one method where you swoop it around in a circle, and then it's kind of like a subliminal message of like you say what letters start to pop out to you, and then it's almost like a automatic writing in this way or channeling. And I think that makes a hell of a lot more sense than everyone just sit here with your fingers on it and wait for it to move by itself. And then it's like very clear that they're spelling out their own crush's name. Shut the hell up.
That's pretty much what we do with Ouija. I actually haven't touched a Ouija board in a long time, and this is making me very nostalgic. That was one of, I think, my first like gateway drugs into this esoteric world was Ouija boards, and I love them, and I think they get a bad rap, and I think that there's a lot of manipulation at play, human manipulation at play with the average person. Me and my friends definitely messed around with some strategies once we realized that we were manipulating it together. We're like, hold on a second. And we kind of came up with something like what you were saying, where it was just sort of like we sort of direct energy around rather than like what are they saying to us? Like, let's see if we can like a little bit of me, a little bit of whoever we're talking to, right? And
which is kind of how I read tarot as well.
Yeah, it ends up being more of a channeling.
It's like a collaborative effort.
yeah, exactly. And
the collab of the century. Me and the ghost in my closet.
Me and Ghosty. And so I guess another thing that I love about this time of the year is an extension of the thing of the veil. A lot of people talk about ghosts. I talk a lot about fae. And the Fae
Mhm.
are out in full force right now. And that's usually who, in hindsight, that's usually who I was talking to through the Ouija
Yeah.
board was
Yeah,
the
it's
Fae.
like the thinning of the veil, which every time I hear it, I think of this Tumblr post where it's like someone's like, the thinning of the veil. Of course, veils are thin. It's not the thinning of the duvet cover. It's like, but it's like the thinning of the veil happens on both sides of the year, so Samhain and Beltane, and I always think of it as like, this is the end of the Fae season, and then the Fae like go back to their little cozy homes for winter, and that's when like the ghosts come out for the dead half of the year.
See, my Fae terrorize me all year round. So,
well, I mean, just like, but generally, you know.
True. Yeah, they got me in a chokehold 365, 7 days a week. So, but it's true. I do believe that some hibernate during this time. But yeah, Ouija board's really fun. And it's funny. I've never been a horror person. Just to bounce back to that, I'm not
what
a
did I
horror
get
fan.
called? An adrenaline junkie.
Junkie.
I was the person that was taking my cushy little baby friends, sneaking them into our movies before we were of age, and we snuck in to see High Tension, which was
You bad
maybe
influence.
I talked about this on the podcast already, but it was High Tension, a French horror film, and my friend had to leave in the middle of the movie, and
I was gonna say, isn't that like an intense?
Oh,
movie?
it's I understand fully why she walked out, and me now, I would not willingly watch that movie. No, it was a lot. It was during the era, like it was around 2006, 2005-ish. Aging myself. It was around the era where Saw 4, Saw 8, torture porn films were just the hot shit. Everybody wanted to see the worst, goriest human centipede thing that they could possibly see. And I was a teenager, like a middle teenager, and I was just edgy as hell. I couldn't get enough of it. I was getting into Guro. I was on paranormal forums online. And this is when I accidentally saw a lot of like stuff that scarred me.
You can't unsee.
Once you start digging around on the internet, you get to some dark web corners and you're like, wait a second, what am I? And I'm a kid at the time, so I don't really know what I'm doing to myself. As an adult now, it's like, good Lord, you literally like traumatized yourself, and you don't
for fun,
like just thrill seeking. And and it's things that there's a couple of those moments where it's like, I never should have seen this in my human life. Like, this is not something I ever should have seen. And I feel like that about a lot of horror movies and horror games and stuff. So I'm definitely not in my gore era anymore. I don't like to see, I can't even watch people like fall off their bike and break their hand or something. Like,
oh my God.
I don't like seeing people get hurt, fictional or not. And it's got a lot to do with like my empathness. I'm an empath. But I feel things way too hard. Like if there's a movie where somebody's getting publicly embarrassed, I get secondhand embarrassment so bad sometimes I have to turn the movie off. Like, it makes me so uncomfortable I can't even deal with it. So yeah, I think that's also what's pulled me away from like horror in general. I'm starting to get a little true crime never really went away, which is interesting, but true crime isn't as bad as like fantasy horror, I guess. Sometimes it can be, for sure. And in some ways it's worse because it's like, this really happened and this isn't just someone's imagination. But there's always been horror. I don't think I'll ever get away from horror in general. I like creepy things. I like the thrill. I like, and I actually read an Instagram post last night that said there was something like why we watch scary movies or why we like horror or something like that. And something in it, and we've talked a little bit about this for the last couple of episodes, but something in it was about control, because this is a controlled scenario. There's a dopamine release, there's an adrenaline surge, and so it feels good to be scared because it's also not really a threat, and you're like, it's like a roller coaster. Like you get scared, but you know you're going to be safe. There's a controlled element of a thrill to it. So I think that's why horror's always been like, and I've not really gone proper ghost hunting though, but I am usually the friend that's like, I'm the annoying bitch that would die first thing in a horror movie because it's like we heard some weird thing on the porch. I'm gonna open the door and go out there.
Yeah, me too.
What is it?
I'm the same way.
I'm gonna go figure it out. I got my flashlight. I'm ready. Like, I'm also the person that's like sitting in the room and is like looking around and like, if somebody broke in, I could probably use that to bash their head in if they were trying to hurt me. Like, it's just like how
zombie apocalypse.
I don't mean to be like it, but it's just kind of how my brain is wired. Like, it just auto thinks of these things. They're intrusive thoughts at this point that I can't stop.
It's interesting that you mentioned like horror is like a controlled incident, but that's actually like I don't get that feeling from it because I avoid horror movies. Like, I do not like them, but it's specifically like I don't like them because I'm like, oh shit, what if? And like because it's all my dad's fault because when I was like 3 years old or 4 or something, like really young, and probably not 3, but like 5 or so, he made me, he didn't make me probably, but we watched Candyman, which do not show that to a 5-year-old.
Not to a kid,
And then after the movie, he got up, he brought me to the bathroom, and we said Candyman in the mirror.
What?
And
No.
and so that freaked me out. I avoided horror movies, and then later, the first horror movie I really saw after that was The Ring, which is the same idea. So now I'm just like, I have it in my head, like, it is not a controlled incident for me. Like, this could happen to me. What the fuck? So like, the only horror movies I like are zombie movies, but I have
Love
a
zombie movies.
A zombie survival plan. I have actually gone to zombie survival training, which also includes a lot of first aid, by the way. It is practical, but so like I'm okay with zombie movies.
Me too.
I can
I'm
deal
right there
with
with
that,
you.
but
Y'all are silly.
But like lady coming out of the
yeah.
TV, no thank you.
Yeah, that's too real.
I have a love-hate with horror because I really like creepy stories and things like that. Like, I like to read my horror more than watch it because jump scares, I can't.
I hate a freaking jump scare, dude.
I
hate
jump scares. Just give me a good creepy movie. Like, that's
this
all
is
I
why I
want.
prefer
It works on me.
Japanese horror to American horror.
It works every single time.
Japanese horror is a lot more subtle. They don't need to spoon feed and hold your hand. But if you're going to make a bird fly across the window and do a like loud noise 8 times in the movie, I'm turning it off because this isn't. You're not actually scary. It's like doing a fart joke. Like, you're not funny. It's people just laugh at farts. Like, it's not funny.
But
yeah, I guess like growing up, I was also scarred by my father when it came to horror movies. I remember when I was like maybe like 7 or 8, we had gotten TiVo for the first time because we had DirecTV because we lived out in the middle of nowhere, and we got TiVo, and it was like the coolest thing ever. We could pause shows. Well, my dad used it to terrify us when he was watching scary movies. So it'd be like Signs, and he'd pause it on the alien's face and be like, "Oh, guys, I turned it off. You can look now." And it's like Alien right there. And then we had these. I don't have it down here anymore because I put it away, but these styrofoam wig heads, because my dad was Aragorn for Halloween one year, so we had these styrofoam wig heads, and my dad would put it over his head. He'd pull up like a shirt over it, so he'd have like alien head is what we'd call it, and he would like come up to our rooms with alien head on after we watched Signs, and it was horrifying.
My parents also
there was a lot
they
of
had
that.
us watch Chucky, the original Child's Play movie, when I must have been between 4 and 6 years old. What the hell?
What is with our parents?
I don't know. So then
Chucky. Yeah, mine was like Signs, Arachnophobia was the other one.
Tremors was so good too. These are like classics.
I was really young, okay?
So after
But I'm really afraid of spiders, so arachnophobia like fucked me up. It still fucked me up. I could just see them coming under
the scene
bathroom
on that
door.
one that messed with me is when the girl's in the shower and it falls down in between her, like goes down her chest.
Oh god,
that because her eyes are closed and she's like washing her hair with the shampoo out, and she doesn't even know because it's just you feel my god, that actually like messes with me too. Shower spiders. I love spiders until they're surprise spiders. But
yeah.
Every
That's fair.
spider is a surprise spider.
I used to have a pet
Expecting
tarantula.
it.
I love spiders. I love spiders.
No,
I think they're cool.
No. That's the one thing I'm like
I'm
afraid
gonna go
of, is
when
probably
we meet
spiders.
in person.
And then bugs
I'm gonna
I
show
don't
up
like
as a
in
spider.
general, but
That's gonna be my costume. But back to
You're
the
just
Child's
a
Play. My
spider.
parents they had us watch that, and then for the next like week or so, they would kind of like sit outside of our rooms, or when they would pass by our rooms, and they would make this little like. They would do, I don't know, I don't know if I can get it on
Wow.
camera, but the sound of Chucky's feet running on the floor,
Yeah.
and they
Oh,
would do
yeah.
that noise, and it would scare the shit out of us because we were children. And never forget. Never forget.
I remember watching Paranormal Activity when I was in high school.
I love
And
that
after
movie.
watching it that night with my family, my room is above my parents' room and at their house, and my dad got a broom and would hit the ceiling of his room, which is the floor of my room, in like the middle of the night. So he'd wait like an hour and then do it like 3 times and then wait an hour and then do it again. It was horrible.
My dad would always tell stories. This is going back into this is going into ghost stories, but specifically about how our dad would traumatize
Great segue.
us.
Let's go into ghost stories.
Are all dads just
When,
chaotic neutral?
I
Like,
think so.
He would always tell the story about a ghost in our attic, and there is no ghost in our attic, by the way. He made this up, but he would always tell a story whenever my sister's best friend was sleeping over. He would always talk about the ghost in the attic, and then we would go to bed, and my sister's bedroom was we had one of those pull down attic doors in the hallway, and my sister's bedroom was right near it. So my dad would go up in the attic and call down, Kara.
Oh my god.
She was freaked out about this so much. She refused to sleep over our house for years.
Valid.
I was just like,
What
why?
is
Why
going
are
on?
parents like this? Why is my dad like this? But
I'm not
never
gonna lie.
did it to
I
us.
like to scare people too. I like to freak
God.
people out. I like to.
Do not
but
like to
aside
scare
from-
people because I do
aside
not
from,
want to be scared.
he traumatized me with Candyman, but I also I will give him some leniency. He realized that it freaked me out, and he actually kept me away from horror. I read a Christopher Pike book in when I was
Ooh, which one?
13 or some I don't remember, but I was
I love Christopher
I just remember it scared the shit out of me, and my dad was like, you should not be reading that. I was like, okay, well, now you tell me. But so he once he realized that he traumatized me with Candyman, he kept
My
me
senior
protected. But
my senior English paper was on Stephen King.
I was
Oh,
obsessed
yeah.
with Stephen King in
My
high school. I read
mom
almost
is.
all
I've
the
never read
books.
that.
That
I-
just that
Very good. Very entertaining.
I really
They're not scary. They're creepy.
Stephen
That's my
King-
favorite kind of
When
horror, because it's
when I was younger, I thought that
not
I
jump.
thought he was boring, because it took forever. But the older I get, I think it was
It's all the puzzle pieces. They gotta
it was
come
The
together for
Shining.
that perfect.
It was when I read The Shining, and I realized that nothing had fucking happened, and I was terrified that something was going to happen. And I was like, he is masterful with suspense and building
Yeah.
tension, and nothing
Yeah.
has happened, and I'm 400 pages into this, and they're just still chilling, and he's told me describe their food, but the way he it's describing something
He makes the ordinary scary. Is what
Yes.
Stephen King
And-
does. He makes it. He puts horror into the everyday, which is
Which is what I hate. I hate
Yeah.
that. No, keep it out of the everyday, please.
so
So his is very
oh,
fantasy too, though.
yeah.
His is very paranormal fantasy, which is another thing that I liked about
Yeah.
his stuff, is because it wasn't ever just the perfect, or it was always the perfect scenario happened where everything went wrong to have this happen, kind of a thing.
I also
So-
I sometimes I avoid horror for the most part, but sometimes I'm just thrown off by people saying oh, this is one of my favorite horror movies, and I'm like, that's a horror movie? The one that comes to the example that comes to mind all the time is people are like, Midsummer is such a good horror movie. I'm like, I don't see that as horror.
You
I see
don't?
that
that's
no.
horror.
I don't.
What
like,
would you call
I
it?
mean, like, I don't quantify it, but I'm just like,
I still haven't seen
like,
it.
guys suck, but that's it.
That is one of my favorite horror movies, actually.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't see it as horror. Like, I think it's really great, but I don't
I've
see it
watched
personally
a good
as
dozen times.
that genre. Yeah.
I think that it's a great, like, I don't want to spoil it for Panthera. I think you should watch it.
Yeah.
I think I kind of
It's a
know what
great-
I've
happens.
never
It's a great-
seen it, and I'm never going to
It's
see
a great
it.
exploration into cult mentalities, I think.
Yeah.
But I would absolutely describe it as horror because of
Yeah.
there's a scene where the guy's back is flayed open, and that image is burned into my brain. There's
Okay.
another image that's burned into my brain of the hammer scene. I'll just leave it at that. There is, but just because something has a graphic, gory moment in it doesn't necessarily make it horror. But the things that
Game
are
of
leading
Thrones.
up to it, and the people disappearing, my friend,
Mhm.
it literally was like a teen scream thing too, because like 4, 5, 6 people go in, and then one of them one gets picked off every other night.
Yeah.
So it's got the trope of like the teen scream flick. Like I absolutely would classify it as horror.
Like I see like the individual pieces as horror, but like I don't see like the overall like stitching it all together,
psychological
like
thriller plus
Yeah.
like cult, like deep dive. But yeah,
but yeah, it just like it's just really funny when people are like, oh, this is one of my favorite horror movies, and then I'm always like, you think that's a horror movie? And it's not just Midsummer, there are others. I'm like, I guess I like some horror movies, I just don't think of them as horror, you know.
Well, it also is probably because we're taught to think that horror has to be like Frankenstein and werewolves and zombies, and but I think that a lot of the worst horror is mundane. It is just the things that happen in the, you know, that kind of thing. But
people scare me a lot more than monsters do.
Yeah.
As we learned in the
That's
cryptid
fair.
tier list.
not the creepypasta spam in our chat from Geek Stamina. So why don't we talk a little bit about paranormal experiences and ghost stories?
But first, before we do that, can we talk a bit about like what the veil is?
Let's
and,
segue
like,
into it.
Why
You lead us in.
So,
Let's go.
the general theory, at least of my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the veil is essentially like the barrier between planes, if you will. Like it's the divider between our physical realm and like whatever else is out there, kind of a thing. So for some people, they just look at it as, you know, we are limited by our 5 senses, essentially. So if like the 6th sense would be like the ability to peer through that veil, so to speak. So kind of that thing. So we kind of mentioned earlier about how the veil supposedly thins twice a year, which is Samhain, October 31st, or Halloween, and then Beltane, which is May 1st. So they're kind of on 2 axes of the year. And in between they're both at the halfway points between the equinox and the solstice during that time of the year. So, which is also kind of interesting, but that's why these particular like dates were chosen as sabbats for the wheel of the year as well, too, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, to me, it's just things that are usually unsensed that for some reason we have a greater grasp and comprehension over with our 5 senses. And of course we have 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, etc. senses that I feel are just more sensitive during this time. And it's I don't think that they're particularly more like active during these times. We're just more in tune during these times.
It's easier to access that that other
I do think
the other senses.
I do think some spirits are this is also when it gets tricky. We're going to be using specific words here, and I think just for lack of a better term, I'm just going to use the word spirit. It can mean many different things. I do think that there are some spirits that do take advantage of our awareness during this time and are mischievous and willing to come out and play a little bit louder. But for the most part, they're just living their lives, we're living ours, and things are just a little easier to tap into, you know? And, but there's also, like, the belief that there's some people that the veil's always thin for them, too. Like, I feel like, but I'd say for the average Joe, this is when supernatural things are most likely to pop up and simmer.
And I feel like some of that is because people at this time of year are more accepting to that, just like more overtly accepting to it. It's not even possibly like, it's possibly not that they are like just like spirits are reaching out more. It's more they are open to being reached out to being contacted. They're like, oh, it's Halloween, it's like we expect ghosts around, so like their guards are down a little more.
Yes, exactly.
It is interesting that like the collective is like subconsciously more willing to believe during this time.
It's like a placebo,
which is
almost.
interesting. Yeah, exactly. And placebo effect is real and works, right? Whether it's the placebo or not.
Right, exactly.
But either way, it causes an actual effect. So
I like to think of it as like you're in a house. Like there's like, imagine that there's multiple rooms in a house and you're in one room. You're in your bedroom, and you don't necessarily know that there are other rooms in the house because the walls are solid and there's no doors or anything. And around this time of year in Beltane, the walls start to turn a little transparent and get thinner. And so instead of like thick, like cement concrete walls, you're starting to get these paper thin walls in apartments. So you can start to hear like, you know, your neighbors being really loud, and you're like, whoa, what is... So this is how I kind of like visualize the veil thinning. You're in a room that you didn't even know had other rooms next to it, and all of a sudden the walls start to get thinner. And a little see-through, a little translucent, and you might like kind of catch a little glimpse of a shadow over here. You might start to hear a little bit of like more noise, knocking, and not literally, maybe literally, but not necessarily literally like that, but just to kind of help you visualize like how I understand, or how I've come to understand the veil thinning. And I do think that it's interdimensional. It's so meaning, like, I don't know really how to explain that. I'm not like an astrophysicist, but I do think that there are multiple realities happening at the same time on top of each other at all times. Like it's, you know, the singularity, the what do they call it? The collapsing of reality into one single point. And all of the, so this is where, like, if you watch Marvel and shit, then you're gonna know the like multiple universe theory just from watching these. You'll at least have a general grasp of what we're talking about here. Multiple universes happening. The Spider-Man movie that came out, where Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland are all Spider-Man on screen, but they're Spider-Man from different universes, like that kind of thing. And then on top of that, not just like different versions of you, but different layers of reality. Maybe, I don't know that I necessarily, and this is where I think the debate would come in, I don't know that I necessarily believe that the dead continue existing. I think that there might be echoes of like a shadow, an echo, a mirror reflection of an existence that happened, but I don't think that the soul is trapped. I think that it's like you go into a cave and you're like, echo, that's not my voice anymore, that's just the remnants. Reverberation. It's just but it's not actually me anymore. I've gone on to another cave. Right.
This is interesting because like, oh, go ahead, Fuchsia.
Like I've had it, like we've talked at the shop about the separation between soul and spirit. So like spirit is kind of like the like the.
Sorry, wait, is Fuchsia okay? I mean, I'm sorry.
Oh my god, it was a stink bug on me.
Was it a spider?
No, it was a stink bug. I don't know where it went. I can't see anything.
It's not even gonna hurt you. And if you mess with them too much,
it just scared me very bad. I was like, what is on me? Did I drop food on me?
You're gonna make him stinky if you mess with him too much.
Oh my gosh.
He had grabbed him in a tissue and I threw him. I don't know where he went.
I thought you were getting got by a spider.
I know.
Right?
I thought you were haunted.
And then it was moving and I was like, yeah, like I can't see. Oh my god, if it was, I'm like actually kind of freaking out, guys. Where did it go?
Oh no. IRL jump scare.
Hold on.
Oh my god.
Panthera's like, I work at a horse stable, animals, and she's like,
Right.
afraid of a little stinky boy.
Oh no.
Just a little,
We lost her.
She's
She's
just a
like-
little buddy.
I live in a farm. I love like
Stink
all
bugs
these animals.
will
and then,
not
like
they will not bother you. They chill. I mean, I don't even think they can bite you.
They're a little
But
smelly though.
we're gonna only if you exacerbate them. Like if you
Is that how that works?
it's a defense mechanism. They release an oil.
Yeah.
So
like skunks.
Yeah.
Anything more than 4 legs, don't touch me. That's the rule. They can exist in here. They can
what about a caterpillar?
Okay, and he broke the rule. He touched me.
Really, you're making me have to edit so much later.
Is- I'm sorry. They can enjoy it. They can keep it.
It'll be an outtake.
Okay, that actually like really freaked me out. Sorry.
That's okay.
Tis the
Yeah.
season.
He surprised
Tis the season.
me. Yeah, it is.
I can smell the smell. If I walk into a room and there's one in there, I can totally smell it.
Oh, I can smell it
Stink
too.
bugs-
Yeah.
Stink bugs only smell if they are afraid. It is a defense mechanism. If they think
Me
they're
too.
dying,
We have a lot in common.
if they think they're going to be attacked or eaten, or so a stink bug, like my house gets covered in stink bugs, so I'll have several in my room at all times. I don't mind. They just chill, whatever. I feel bad because you got nothing to eat in here, but
That's fine, but they land on you in your sleep, and it
that doesn't.
Nope,
I
don't
don't
fucking
care.
touch
I'm
me.
asleep. Like it doesn't bother me.
True.
they wake me up instantly. If I hear them flying past me in my sleep, I wake up immediately, and
Toasty
I'm like,
usually hunts them down, and that's when they smell because
Luna will eat
she'll
them,
get
yeah.
up on them and she'll start slapping it, trying to chew at it, and then it thinks it's dying, which it could, so it releases its stinky smelly, and that makes Toasty go, ew, this is yuck, and it also tastes really bad. If you've ever tried to handle a grasshopper and you pick a grasshopper up and they start spitting this black tar out of their mouth, I'm a bug person. I handle bugs all the time. I love bugs. I would pick up grasshoppers by their little like spine. I don't know what to call it. The little thing that's like their backbone.
Yeah.
And hold them and look at them, and then they're like, I'm gonna die, right? And they start to swell this little black goop out of their mouth, and they'll grab it with their front hands and they'll reach around and try to touch you with it. It stains your skin, it smells bad, and it tastes awful. I mean, I don't even know what to describe what it tastes like. It tastes like what I would imagine
they're also partakers in throat magic.
gasoline would taste like. Like whatever like gasoline. It has
Delicious.
This it's just repugnant to us, and that's the evolutionary purpose. So
To you.
some things might be like, this is delicious, but
Speak for yourself.
anyway, you don't get me on a bug tangent. I'm the bug bitch. Like if we're at a party and there's a weird creature on the back porch, I'm out there with my cell phone taking pictures, poking it with sticks, touching it, picking it up. Like I'm a little scientist.
To
when it
some
comes to
people-
bugs.
I'm like that with anything more than or less than
Sick.
multiple legs. 4 legs or less, I'm all about it. Like I'll grab the little lizard. I used to pick up snakes. My mom used to fight me because she was like, "That you don't know if that's venomous." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. It's blah, 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 this type of snake."
The only bugs I will not tolerate whatsoever, I scream when I see them, is earwigs.
Oh, okay. I'm with
they-
you on that.
They terrify me.
Or centipedes? Nope, not
Earwigs?
centipedes.
No, see, I'm like they're not fun, but earwigs, I'm like terrified of.
Unfortunately,
They're the only
earwigs
one.
do get a death sentence for me. I don't fuck with
Yeah.
them. I don't fuck with them. Mm-mm. They're
Yeah.
called an earwig. That's enough for me.
Yeah, like we would have them like in our basement growing up. Like we had them a lot in the area, and we called them pinching bugs. And then when I learned that they're actually called earwigs, I was like, no, thank you. But
Yeah, my dad had to go to the hospital one time because a fly got into his ear, and yeah, he could feel it walking on his eardrum.
Yeah.
Is what he said.
Ew.
And then after
Oh my God. I would just.
they had to like
Kill
gas
myself.
it. They had to gas it to death and then just wait for it to fall out of his ear.
That's horrible! Oh my god!
Came
What?
here
That makes me
for
want to
horror
wear earmuffs
stories,
the rest
right?
of my life.
My mom later that year for his
You
birthday.
guys are scarring me for life right now. This is actually the scariest episode of Celestial
I was
Cafe. We didn't
literally
do
I was literally gonna say this might be the scariest part of the Samhain episode.
You came here
Actually
for horror stories.
horrifying.
You thought it was going to be ghosts, but surprise, it was
Yeah,
bugs.
you guys are like actually gonna give me nightmares. Thanks.
The veil? Nope.
I'm
It's just
still
a
like
praying
freaked
mantis.
out because something touched me, and now we're talking about flies buzzing in your ears, and I'm like, why am I itchy?
Later that year was my dad's birthday, and my mom walks out with a birthday cake that has a
has
giant
more.
fly bug on it. I was like, you're so mean. That didn't happen to me, but that has scarred me. And my brother had a wasp land on his like neck one time, like right under his ear, and he didn't know what it was, so he just lifted his shoulder up and like rubbed his and it bit his neck and stung his shoulder, or vice versa. And now my brother is like, if a zzz noise goes near him, he's the like freak out throwing shit, and I understand if something had bit my neck and stung my shoulder, then I also would probably be like
got
that.
stung by a bee the other week, and I'm so mad because like I'm usually like bees are fine. Bees like don't bug them and they won't bug you. No pun intended. But like I was walking past the train station and it's where other people like usually hang out, and like someone must have like antagonized them before I walked past, and a bee came and stung me right on my ass. And then I'm like still walking to the bus stop, and like the stinger's like stuck in my leggings, and I had to like go into a parking lot and like take off my leg. I was wearing a skirt, but I had to like take off my leggings in a random parking lot because it kept rubbing against me. I was like so mad because I'm usually like such an advocate for bees. I'm like, I haven't get stung by a bee since I was like a kid, and here you go, just like stinging me as I'm just like calmly walking to the bus.
So when I was like 4 or 5 years old, we went to a park, and I had like wandered off and gotten by myself, and I must have been messing with a wasp nest or something, just like me. And one of them stung me directly in the center of the forehead. It was this huge welt, and I must have been handling them. I must have been messing with them, because I used to like pick up spiders and chase my brother with them and stuff. Like I've always been
My God, you would be my worst nightmare.
I've always loved bugs.
I love bugs. Yeah.
And
They're cool.
My mom came over, and I was crying, and she was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "The bee." My name's Tiffany, right? And it's important. And I was like, the bee told me to be still, and she said, "What?" It said, "Tiffy, be still so I can sting you." That's what I told my mom, and my mom has told me that story my whole life. So I'm just like, okay. When I got older and I was really starting to understand it, I was like, clearly, one, this didn't happen, unless it did, which would be poggers. But one, it didn't happen. So two, this is, but let's say it did happen. Like, why did my 4-year-old self go, "Oh, be still so you can sting me"? Okay. Like, why did I agree? Why did I let it? Like, it told me what it was gonna do. Be still so I can sting you. Yeah, this sounds like a good idea. All right, I'll hold still. No problem.
I don't have any exciting bug stories. However,
I have so many. I could go on for 3 hours.
That's not what we're here for,
maybe
but
I do just so I feel included. I do live with someone who is horrified of bugs. He's sitting right there playing Ocarina of Time, and I've taken a brand new look at the way bugs infiltrate our world, because I was neutral to them, but now I'm on the offensive with bugs. Bugs get the death sentence so that Spaceman can be protected. That's the rule here. So I respect that. But bugs are cool. That's what I think. Bugs, generally, blanket statement, they're pretty cool. I like them. Mm-hmm. They're cute, and I especially like fuzzy caterpillars.
Oh my God, speaking of which, there was a woolly worm on my front porch the other day, and it was 32 degrees that night, and I was like, rest in peace, homie. Like, there's no way you survived this night. Well, welcome everyone that's tuning in right now. We did get off on quite a bit of a tangent on bugs, because Panthera got attacked. Not clickbait.
I was killed by a stink bug.
But today is
we were talking about ghosts.
The Halloween Samhain special episode. So we are currently transitioning and segueing into talking about spooky ghost stories and the such. So we were kind of discussing lightly what the thinning of the veil is, and I was kind of getting into my little interdimensional, multi-dimension idea where there's a billion realities happening at the same time, and that I don't think that ghosts are actually the soul anymore. It's an echo or a remnant, a reverberation,
which is what I was trying
and
to.
that's
I was starting to, and
Oh,
then
yeah, sorry.
and then the bug, and then the Fire Nation attacked.
but yeah, so like at the workshops like I've gone to, they kind of like there's a distinction. This does not have to be everyone's point of view, but there's a distinction in my mind about like the difference between soul and spirit. And spirit is kind of like what you described as like the echo of someone like staying in this world, and the soul is, you know, what's what makes you you, and like that's it, like goes on to the next stage, whether that's, you know, the afterlife or reincarnation, right, or whatever. There's the difference. So like the spirit, but also spirits and ghosts and everything in this world do not necessarily have to be dead people. They can be other spirits from the other world, from the spirit world. Let's see how many times I can say spirit. We've got spirit. Yes, we do. And so like that encompasses like, you know, the like demons, ghosts, like fae, all that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily the dead spirit still there, but that is part of it, is that like that echo of someone is kind of what I see as their spirit, whereas like their soul goes on to the next stage of existence.
I like the echo metaphor, allegory, words, because there's two parts of the story. One, my atta lived in this house that I'm in right now, passed away in this house. And for a while after his death, we would hear guitar playing. He played the guitar a lot. And then slowly, as time went on, it got fainter and fainter. We haven't heard it in many years. And to me, it just felt like this, it just was this quieting of the spirit, of the soul, whatever word we want to use there, and sort of this final vibrational release, you know. And when I was in college, this is part two. When I was in college, I was a part of the ghost hunting club, which was really cool. Like full-on phasmophobia, like levels of gear, and we had to sign waivers. Like it was a very serious business space to be. They didn't want anyone to fuck around. Like they wanted to make sure that everyone was here, like seriously wanting to hunt ghosts, right? And the things that I saw and experienced never felt like what people think ghosts are, which is the stereotypical, like, someone died and can't move on sort of narrative, right? It was always like those echoes of a distant past, of
and that's
something
why I think that we see them like when like it's always this little girl that never ages, that's always in this hallway bouncing a ball or something. You know what I mean? It's not like a cognizant thinking entity, but then we could get into like demonology and shit like that, where entities start to come into this. But
I never experienced that. That's all I know.
I would love to talk about like paranormal experiences, because I've talked about it with Panthera before on an interview she did with me a year or two ago. But where I was doing a tarot reading on Samhain, 3:00 in the morning, peak of the energy, and just like hee hee ha ha, sitting in front of a mirror. I could tell a whole story if we want to get into something like this, but where I felt like there was an entity around me for a couple of weeks after it, and it could have been psychosis. Could have been. It could have been.
It happens. It happens. Yeah. Sometimes your brain fights back in the form of someone else.
My brain got hands.
But yeah,
So-
and oh, sorry.
I just kind of want to. So this is all like UPG, which is unverified personal gnosis, by the way, for anybody who isn't aware, and
Oh my
it's
God.
a very important term
Terminology.
to. Well, it's a very common term in the witchcraft sphere specifically, especially when we start talking about spirits, because there's just no way that we can prove this, right?
Yeah,
But-
and
Exactly.
this is where
can-
I come into what I always settle in agnosticism. I don't know any of this for a fact. I have
Mhm.
theories and I have thoughts,
Yeah.
but and I don't. This is why like atheism is bizarre to me. To claim for sure this does not exist. How could you possibly know? Agnosticism, I think, is the safest space to rest. Something weird happens sometimes. I don't know what the hell it is though. But it could be a ghost, it could be the soul, it could be an echo, or it could be a glitch in the matrix and this is an artificial simulation. Like you know what I mean? Like this could be
Literally.
a video game. I don't know.
Like,
but yeah,
could
so
just
just
be sleep
moving
deprivation.
forward, I think that especially if we're gonna have people discussing their opinions and so on in the Discord, which you should join, by the way, but make sure that we're
you
all
did
being
it.
like respectful of people's UPGs and everything, right? This is just
Mhm.
what individual people's opinions, thoughts, beliefs, and experiences have led them to think. So,
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion. So the only thing that throws me off, I have definitely the word echo is good. I've always referred to it as an
Yeah.
imprint, an energy
As a
imprint
what?
of like
Imprint.
an energy
Imprint.
imprint, essentially.
Mhm.
Something strong maybe happened in that particular space, especially if it's something that it was a long time ago. One thing that comes to my mind is that we had a spirit where I used to work at our dog store, and it was particularly in one room upstairs in the groomer's office, essentially. But we would hear footsteps up there, the doors would lock when we weren't expecting them, the radios would turn on and so on, but it was like that particular space, and it wouldn't happen all the time. It definitely like faded in and out. So this is where like my theories start. This is pure UPG, but like I don't think that spirits have the energy to be able to constantly interact.
Yeah.
It definitely comes and goes. Like it
I
builds up
agree.
over time as they rest, and then there will be a bunch of experiences within a couple weeks,
I mean, that
and then
happens
they
to
will
me
disappear entirely again.
on like the
Yeah,
real level,
relatable.
too. Yeah, it's very
They,
relatable.
ghosts experience burnout.
I need to go take a nap. I've exerted too much energy.
So I think one thing that kind of where my brain is struggling a little bit though is like a lot of this is very location based, but I've definitely experienced what I call wandering spirits, or for example, just a recent thing, I've definitely like felt / communicated with my grandfather's spirit since living here in Ohio, which he has never been to this place at all, ever.
Right.
So I think, in my opinion, so this is where like the soul or like the energy imprint, I do think that I don't know. So this is where like I'm gonna contradict myself a million times, but there has to be something that allows them to be able to choose and move and communicate when they choose to.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it can't just be a remnant, so to speak. There's definitely, at least from my experiences of reaching out to communicate and getting like solid responses of who it was, who I was interacting with, what they wanted from me, etc. There was some effort coming in there, right? That wasn't residual.
And this is
So-
where my skepticism comes in, because I generally do not believe in ghost encounters. Generally speaking.
Yeah.
If you asked me last year, I would have 100% agreed with you.
That's interesting. Yeah, what I left with from the ghost hunting club, which is where obviously I was the most like involved, and I went into it very skeptical but very open. I had that experience with my atta. That was it, and I don't know. I still left with just as many questions as I showed up with, but what I left with most of all was like, there's something happening that's not able to be processed through our untrained eyes body, 5 senses. Like it's like there's something, but I literally don't even have words or answers to it other than my fae, but I'm very familiar with them and they're very loud. But for like the generalized spirit ghost, like I don't know, but something was happening. Something interesting was happening. Something unexplained was happening in those moments. But and I'm down to be wrong, and I'm down to like ghosts can exist, maybe they don't exist. I don't even have an opinion for you right now. Like it's someone will say something convincing, I'll be like, yeah, ghosts are real. And then someone will say something else convincing on the other side, I'm like, yeah, that sounds real too. You know, like I think a lot of things can happen at the same time with these worlds, right? Like it's hard. It's definitely hard. The end.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
It's always interesting because like people talk about seeing ghosts. For context, I grew up in one of the most haunted places in the country, in America. Like there are
Sally.
a million ghost stories about my hometown, and like all my friends would be like, oh yeah, I totally saw this ghost. And like there was like a haunted school, like a one-room schoolhouse from the 1800s that people are like, they like the neighbors see children like playing outside in the yard, and like if you walk past the windows and look inside, you'll see the teacher in like the class and stuff. And I never saw any of this like whatsoever. So it's like I've always been like oh my god, thanks Felix.
Tonight is so scary.
Ghosts.
The jump scares are real. Like what?
God, what?
But like I did grow up like my mom believes in ghosts, and she doesn't really believe in much, but she believes in ghosts. But I was always like, oh, my friends are just like, they're just like being silly, and like I grew up not believing in that. It's only like the past year, like getting involved in my local witchcraft shop, doing workshops there, doing ancestor work, and like I still have not had like that tangible experience with a spirit, with a ghost specifically, but like it's one of those, I have been told that like my spirit guides, which are basically my best friend growing up and my dad, are too protective of me. And so they don't like I have like really strong guards, and it's not me.
Fair.
I'm like, whatever, I want to experience this stuff. And they're like, no, let's just protect her. So it's only been like the past year where I've been like slowly trying to like
coerce them,
like, and like be like, let me experience this stuff. Like, it's fine.
That's
like,
interesting.
This is a safe context and everything. And it's only like, we did a workshop a few weeks ago. That was the first time like I actually had like not even like a physical like visible encounter, but like I could actually sense something for the first time like ever. And it was one of those like, it was like in a group, and then there were 3 groups, so it was only like 5 of us. And then afterwards we were talking about like what we saw or sensed, and like we were all like on the same page with everything.
Yes.
So that's when it's interesting when people like see like feel the same thing. Like we all felt like there was like a little animal, like a dog or a cat running around and stuff like that. So it was like really interesting. And still you can't like prove it. You can't be like, maybe just this person started saying something and this person agreed with them just to, you know, go along with it. But it's just one of those things that when you open yourself up more to it, is kind of amazing how it does shift. And I've been experiencing that a lot in the past year. Still haven't seen any ghosts. I don't think Felix counts as one.
You're looking around.
But no, she's
I know this
she's
would
up
be
there.
the funniest thing.
but-
Like if I was editing later tonight, and then I see something like moving in the back
Like,
of one of
see
y'all's
something,
camera
yeah.
or something.
Well, there was that there was one time when we were all in
You're gonna
VC
say the
and
stink bug
offbeats
as
with
I throw
cameras
it
on,
across.
and like people were seeing like lights, like something blinking around in my camera, and I was like, yes,
You know, as skeptical.
Oh, I have to show you guys these pictures from the land. We got these pictures for on the bonfire where like there's like these weird lights that showed up. I'll have to post it. I haven't posted them anywhere yet, but my boyfriend took them, and there's like these light blue like lights around us. It's very strange. Oh,
So
it was very
as
weird.
skeptical as I am, I've actually had like a handful of paranormal experiences.
Yeah, which is really funny that you say like you're skeptical, but you've had way more experiences.
Well, because I look back at him and I'm like, well, I was a kid. Well, this. Well, that.
Yeah, it's easy to logic them away.
Yeah,
right?
So
Yeah.
the one that stands out the most to me is. Okay, before I even get into the story, what I find very funny about ghost stories in general is that there is always a prerequisite story time explaining the landscape of the house, or the like I have to explain to you that the
Right.
house was here, the door was over there, that like everyone has to describe the location before they can actually just tell the ghost story. And I think that's an interesting commonality between like 98%. That's a literal statistic. I can prove it with documents. I'm kidding. But like the vast majority, I know, said it was such conviction. But every time you hear someone tell a ghost story, just check and be like, oh, they're telling me where the door is compared to where the hallway is, and they have to they even drew a diagram. Sometimes diagrams are necessary. But
Can you get MS Paint open for this?
yeah, let me get my PowerPoint presentation rolling. So
a visual learner.
This happened at my house when I was probably around 8 years old. So we there's 3 children in the house, and I do have to describe the layout of the house a little bit just to understand. Kitchen, basically imagine a zigzag Lego piece, the piece that looks like a little Z, and that's the hallway connecting the kitchen to the back bedrooms, right? The top part of the Z is the kitchen living room area, the back one is the bedrooms.
That's wacky.
And it was zany. So the 2 back bedrooms were basically one long rectangle shape that were separated by a small door frame. There was no door though, and this was a playroom where we slept as children that led into my parents' room. We were young children, so it made sense that the room was connected to the parents' room, right? So there were 3 beds in the room. There was a bunk bed, and there was another bed for the 3rd kid, right? Doesn't really matter. I normally slept in the bunk bed. Tonight I was sleeping in the other bed. I think I was alone in the room. Maybe I'd gone to bed early or something. But I remember I was laying in bed, and my eyes weren't all the way closed. You know when you're like kind of asleep and your eyes are kind of like, you can still kind of see like the room. You're kind of waiting for the sleep to overtake you, and your eyes are just kind of like resting, but they're not fully closed. And I was kind of looking through my eyelashes, and I was probably around 8, somewhere less than 10, older than 5. And I see this white figure moving from the hallway entrance towards my parents' door. So it's like going to take a straight, like diagonal shot across the room. And it's going to pass right by the bed where I'm sleeping. And it's this like tall, very much like a ghostly like cylinder, like literally someone wearing a bed sheet, kind of ghost shape. But it was like a fog. It was see-through. It wasn't somebody wearing a bed sheet. And it started at the corner of the room. It wasn't coming from the hallway. It was in the corner of the room. From like, if the door was open, it would be behind the door. And it just was slowly moving towards me, but really would have been through the whole room. And if I opened my eyes too much, it would start to dissipate. And if I closed my eyes more, it would start to move again. So here I'm already lodging this. I'm a child. I'm imagining things. I'm probably half asleep, and maybe it was, like I'm coming out of sleep and I'm still kind of seeing dream shapes, because sometimes your eyes have the little swirls that are still happening when you first wake up. I can already logic this away.
But on the other hand, when you're in that half state is when you're more
when the veil is thin. The veil is thin.
Liminal space.
So the reason that I remember this, well, I remember it because of this story, but the reason that I'm telling this story right now instead of some of the other experiences I've had, is it felt female. It felt like an old woman to me. It had an old woman energy, and she ended up getting close to the bed, and right before she could get really near me, I sat upright because I didn't want to, I got scared. I didn't want her, and I sat upright, eyes wide open. She just completely disappeared. And years and years and years later, when me and my sister are adults, literally maybe like less than 5 years ago, we're having a conversation with each other. I've never told her this story. I've never told anybody this story except my friends. Yeah, that's right, my sister's not my friend. Owned. No, I'm kidding. But I you know, like the 3 o'clock in the morning horror story sleepover, so let's tell each other, that's usually when I would talk about the story. But I'd never talked with it never talked about it with my family or my siblings. Or she starts telling me a story of her in that room sleeping in that bed, and there's an old woman in the corner in a rocking chair. There wasn't a rocking chair in the room, but she was seeing an old woman, long white dress, white, and like the kind of silhouette I was talking about, sitting in a rocking chair and rocking back and forth. And she said she saw this old woman in the room all the time. She would have been 3 years younger than me, so she would have been around 5 to 7 years old. And she started telling me that, and I was like, there's no fucking way. Like, there's no way. Like, cause I saw something like that in that room. But then it's again, like, maybe I did tell her that story. Maybe I did tell her that story, and maybe it's a shared memory at this point. And I don't remember telling her it because it was 15, 25 years ago, however long ago it was. I can logic it, but that still stands out to me as like, there was something in that room. We also hated being in the back of the house alone. All of us did. The front of the house felt totally different to the back of the house. And the back of the house being alone was like, something is in here. I saw something in my parents' bed one time. The sheets were risen up and I could see eyes under it. There were no animals back there. And it was like a look and see it, look away, look back, and it's gone kind of thing. And I would have been closer to 12 or so at that age. I wouldn't have been quite as young. So the whole back of the house, and then come to find out that house was built on a dump, like it was an old landfill, so maybe there's a dead body that was thrown there or something, you know.
This is very Higurashi.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's one of the kind of mundane saw a shade like in the room kind of stories,
right? Like, and that's the thing, my most potent ghost stories are the ones that other people on their own time affirmed as well. You know, like, I have so many like strange happenstances that, yes, I logic away too. But like the ones that I'm thinking about in the ghost hunting club are like all of us at the same time getting that chill down our spine. You know, like those moments were the affirming moments when there was nothing to inspire that feeling out of all of us other than a shift. Who knows? And then followed up by like the EMF reader going out of control like 5 seconds after, you know, that kind of stuff. Those are always the most worthwhile like moments for me paranormally, where like it's not just me. Like we all you saw it too, right? Like, I'm not going crazy. And even better is when we both look at each other at the same time and go, because sometimes there's that, you know, I say it out loud and someone goes, oh yeah, you know, yeah, but it's, and it's funny because like I did this ghost hunting and like I always struggle telling stories about it because it's all very typical stories where like there was no conclusion either, you know. It was just like all of us felt the shift and then it followed up in like the dot reader, or it followed up in the EMF reader, and then we go back, we have the tape recorder, and we hear these mysterious just like that. That was me, actually. Sorry to scare anyone.
Oh no,
that wasn't a ghost. Yeah, sorry to podcast listeners. I know that was scary. And I think like it's. By the way, I recommend everyone doing ghost hunting, especially with people who are knowledgeable and know what they're doing. Like, and just having the gear. It's just really fun. First of all, like you're.
Do we need to have a destination episode, or are we all? Oh,
I would love
that. That would be so fun.
that'd be dope.
Everyone come to my hometown. We'll have a fun old time.
I would love this.
I don't live there anymore, but I still know the ghosts. So
it's fun. It's worthwhile, and especially when you're with a bunch of people who you trust and who are curious and not haters.
Open-minded,
that helps.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like, you can be skeptical, just don't be like,
this is stupid.
This is dumb. Who would believe this?
Yeah,
Like,
hey, Bloody Mary, like that shit. Like, we don't need that.
Well, if you do that, you're either gonna get one of two responses. Either you're gonna piss the ghosts off and they're gonna come for you, or they're gonna be like, I'm not even gonna bother.
I don't think they're gonna come for you. I think that type of energy, it I don't know if it's like a placebo effect or what, but like I think that our minds all have to be, everyone that's in that space that is trying to contact something, it's like you're manifesting it together. Yeah. So if one person there is like not wanting it to happen, then you're not gonna you're creating a reality together is what it feels like to me. And if this one person isn't imagining it with you, or isn't visualizing it, isn't touching through the veil, whatever word to use for it, then there's no way it can happen. And this makes me think of like an X-Files episode where it's one of the best episodes. It's like a camp episode, but camp meaning campy, not like they're going to camp.
I thought they would.
The summer camp episode.
There's it's like a spoof on psychics. So one character on the one is like a really over the top TV psychic that's like, I'm sensing an energy in the room. And then there's a guy that's just kind of a doofy old man who's legit psychic, but he's just like, oh, it really sucks to see that you're going to die next week. Like, he's just like really like, oh no, another day, another vision. Like, it's a really, and he's like helping Scully and Mulder solve the crime at the same time.
I think I watched this episode with you.
It's a classic episode. It's one of my favorites. But the really campy TV psychic is like, normally Scully is the skeptic and Mulder is the I believe everything. But Mulder thinks this guy's full of shit and knows he's full of shit because he knows the other psychic guy is actually a legit psychic. And the TV psychic's walking around like, oh yes, they died right here on the floor. And then he looks up at Mulder and he's like, you have bad energy and you're blocking my visions. You must leave if I will continue to receive the energy, or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it makes me think of that, where I do think that's kind of legit. I do think that if someone there is like, just like, this is bullshit, nothing's ever going to happen. If they're saying that, but they're thinking something different, then it's fine. But if they're thinking, like, you could also be saying, like, I totally want to see a ghost. But inside, you are completely blocked off to it. There's no way it's ever going to happen. So what you're saying doesn't matter. It's what your energy is actually allowing.
So this gets into an interesting point, which is, like, kind of bringing this back to, like, the witchcraft side of things. But, like, you can put up kind of, like, shields or protections, even unknowingly, and close yourself off to those things. Because that's what I did for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do it, like, myself, and I don't do it deliberately, but I have those shields of protection around me, and so, like, I have been working on getting those shields to, thin, if you will.
Yeah.
And to be able to experience more. But I'm not quite there yet, but I have been experiencing more.
I'm down for anything.
You can definitely have those shields without even meaning to.
Let's go, ghosts.
It's funny because you go ahead, Panthera.
So I used to have a lot of experiences as a child growing up. I've had visual experiences, which are shared with, like, my sister and my cousins. I used to hear a lot of things too. The earliest one that I can remember, and also the only visual one as well that is the shared experience, was I grew up in Northern Virginia, just like I've been between a couple of the major towns there, Fredericksburg, Manassas. Well, so this particular occurrence appeared in Manassas, Virginia, which is
my whole family lives there. Sorry.
Oh, really? So does mine. So
interesting.
For those of you guys who aren't aware, the Battle of Bull Run, which is one of the biggest battles of the Civil War, occurred right there. Virginia in general was just a very, very heavy war-torn area for the beginning of the United States, essentially. It's got some of the oldest towns in the United States and so on. But so we were all, it was Halloween, which is, this is how, like, I remember it so clearly. But it was like, we were waiting for it to get dark so we could go trick-or-treating. And me, my sister, and my cousin, and my friend, we were all playing around outside, waiting for it to get dark. And there's these woods behind my cousin's house. And there was, like, this creek that you would jump across and then go play in the woods. And there was, like, a paved sidewalk that would go through the woods. And we spent hours and hours out there, like, all summer long. But, so we were playing out there, and it started to get dark and everything, and it was just where it had gotten dark enough where I was like, okay, it's time to head back and go get the parents so we can go through the neighborhood in our big group and go trick-or-treating. And we're all walking down, like, the paved sidewalk, and we started hearing hooves, like a galloping horse, and
Not
we turned, and...
Unicorns.
What we saw
Lucifer.
at the time... We could only describe it as a Nazgul from, like, Lord of the Rings. Like, you know, like, Fellowship of the Ring, like, when they're riding on those black horses and they're, like, chasing down the hobbits. We saw this thing charging down at us, and we all fucking screamed and booked it out of them damn woods. Like, I remember us just not, like, we saw it coming at us, and I did not look back again. Like, we were running. And, like, to this day, we were all like, do you remember that? Yeah, I remember that. Do you remember that? Like, I remember that. But we found like old horseshoes and things back there, and like musket balls and things in the woods and so on. So I don't know. That's the only time I've ever, like, seen something, and the earliest one I can remember. Besides that, it was like oftentimes in high school I would, like, hear my name being whispered to me in my house, which was very creepy when nobody else, like, I'd be, like, getting ready in the bathroom, like, doing my makeup for high school in the morning at, like, 6 a.m. because I had to get on the bus early because I was, like, the first person on the bus. And, like, yeah, hear my name being whispered to me and nobody else is awake. Like, scary as fuck. So I, like, closed myself off. I slept with the lights on for a very long period of time. I used to sleep with the TV on and just drown out all of my senses, and still definitely affects me now.
So it's interesting because a lot of, like, what with the shielding, specifically what we're talking about, this is kind of what happens to me with lucid dreaming and astral projection. Sometimes it gets too much for me, and I just like, I haven't had a lucid dream in like 2 years, and it's because I was lucid dreaming and astral projecting so much that I was, oh man, the derealization and not understanding the difference between was too much. And it's like, I can't exist in a mundane way if this is I can't do this. I don't want a lucid dream. I don't. And it wasn't like I had a literal conversation with myself about that. It's just that I, like, it was a feeling that grew, and then eventually I just stopped lucid dreaming. And I think that we see this kind of trope in, like, movies about, like, you're a witch, but you've repressed your powers since you were a child, and you just have to believe. And, you know, like, I see that kind of trope in movies, but it's sort of similar to me, where it's like, you can have mental shields up that, and I think that dreaming and this liminal spaces y'all were talking about, the veil thinning, I think that things that happen on the astral realm or in dream realm, dream world, that layer of your conscious reality, are very similar to what the ghosts and spirits and those experiences are in the first place.
And I've realized, having this discussion, that this is very much a comfort zone for me. Like, I'm very comfortable exploring these things. I've been lucid dreaming daily for years, like, just as an extension of that, and, like, it's very normal, I guess, for me to explore these liminal spaces and these other realms. I don't know what that says about me necessarily, but this is not scary to me. It never has been during all of my
only scary
paranormal instances.
It's scarier to me than a zombie is, because a zombie is just, or a werewolf or a vampire, they're just a physical creature that can be killed, hopefully, theoretically.
In theory, yeah.
But liminal space, ghost world, dream realm,
how do you defend yourself? What do you do?
What is this? And it also calls into question reality, and then my existence, and then am I being watched? Is this a television show? Is it an interdimensional video game? And all the shit that I be doing at 3:00 in the morning is
not
like
the interdimensional cable.
This is a video game that souls just project themselves into, and everybody experiences it.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why. It's
no, I'm right there with you.
Than a werewolf or a vampire.
It's it was interesting, like going this segue from like protections about spirits to like talking about astral projection, liminal spaces, and all the lucid dreaming and stuff, because that's actually a space where these two very overlap for me in. Oh no, Dukes.
The ghost got me, sorry.
This is such a scary episode.
Slowly being taken out. I was taken out by a stink bug. Dukes was getting taken out by green screen.
I was taken out by my cat falling
I'll
down.
be back shortly.
Now we'll have a word from our sponsor. Let's wait till Dukes comes back. Hold on.
Yeah.
It might be a few minutes.
A few minutes.
My phone died.
Okay. Well,
the cord fell out.
Yeah. So it's funny because like I unintentionally have these protections about like encountering spirits and stuff, but I intentionally have protections about dream work because my entire life I had chronic nightmares. If I dreamed it was a nightmare, I would wake up covered in bruises from flailing too much. I once ripped my blanket in half. Like, I had chronic nightmares, so I learned to not dream, and that is like a protection that I built in. But the only dreams I had up until like very recently, the only dreams I ever had were my spirit guides coming to talk to me. It was my dad, it was my best friend, it was my old familiars from when I was growing up. Like, they would come to talk to me. That was the only dreams I ever had until very, very recently. Like, I was talking about the very mundane dream I had today about my Twitch payout. But that is also one of the things that I have been working on in the past year, is slowly letting myself get back into. I'm really intrigued by lucid dreaming. I'm really intrigued by astral projection. I cannot do it because I have those defenses and I have not been able to let them down. And so it's interesting that like we got on the topic of both of them, because I have protections on both of them. One is deliberate and one is not, but I've been working on bringing both of those down in the past year. And
that's so interesting because like I've been working on the same, but with specifically like the spirit communications kind of thing. And to me, a lot of this, and one of the things I talk about this a lot on my own channel, but one of the things that I love about witchcraft so much is being able to prove it to yourself. Like, you don't know if ghosts are real? Try to talk to one and see, like,
fuck around and find
out. You
can
pretty much, exactly. So to me, it's like the ultimate, like, proof. If I can have an experience now. So that's something I've been working on, is like, okay, I feel like I've closed myself off so much. So now it's reopening up myself to these experiences. And I've only had, besides just using tools for communication, which I'm still skeptical on, like, I'm very much need to get, like, the answer 3 times in a row for me to even, like, think that this is real kind of a thing, especially with, like, pendulums and stuff like that. So very skeptical there. But
we could talk about pendulums.
Yeah, we can talk about tools, and we talked words a bit, but it would be cool talking about other tools to communicate.
Yes.
But so one of the things that I've been trying to do is like part of my daily practice and opening myself up more to this is leaving out offerings of just like whoever's interested in being here, as long as you are like beneficial and helpful here. If I've offended you in any way, here's my apology, like, or whatever, like here's my offering to you. So partake in it if you wish, kind of a thing. And I remember one morning I was making, and I usually make coffee is what my offering is. So I'll make coffee for myself, and I make a second cup, and I go and put it on my altar as offering to whoever wants it, kind of a thing. And this was right after my grandfather had passed, and I remember going in. Usually I just had to pour the second black coffee into another mug, and then I have my mug and I'm putting like the sugar in mine, and I go to scoop the sugar into mine, and I got like the feeling that I should put it in the other mug. Like, this mug needs sugar for some reason. And I remember thinking to myself and like saying out loud, like, do you want sugar? And like just being overtaken with emotion, like immediately like bursting out laughing, which was like the weirdest experience to me, as like once again as a very like skeptical, logical person. I'm like, what the fuck? Like just like completely overtaken by laughter, which to me felt like a yes. Yeah. So I was like, all right, you're getting a spoonful of sugar. So, and then I talked to my mom later and I was like, hey, did grandfather like sugar in his coffee? And yes, apparently yes, he really did. That was one of the things that she remembered the most, is he likes sugar and a lot of creamer in his coffee.
That's awesome. I love that.
Which was just like an interesting like coincidence after that. But like, so now I guess what I believe are new experiences are like being overwhelmed with like feelings and emotions now, which is very interesting to me. Specifically after asking a question, which is it's very interesting to me because it's like I don't know what else could cause that. Because I feel like I'm pretty like in touch with myself and my emotions, at least. I don't think I'm crazy. Famous last words. But...
Copium.
So, oh, you go ahead.
Oh, no.
Well, I was going to segue into, like, we're talking about grandfather. So I'm thinking, I don't want to fuck with my ancestors. I don't know who the fuck they are, okay? I don't, there could be some dumb shit back there that I just don't want to, we don't have any association. You stay back in the 1800s, dead ass.
I mean,
like,
everyone has some dumb shit somewhere.
Of course,
If you just keep going back further and further and further, you're going to find someone that clicks.
Yeah, and
but I don't.
The main reason that I'm feeling this way is okay, story time. So a couple of years ago, this was when I was first really starting to explore, like, this is the first time I'd done like what I felt was a proper ritual, from what I had like researched online, and that's that Gemini way, I guess. But I had, tried to create the circle around me. I had candles lit for the 4 different corners, north, south, east, west, but also the elementals. So, and then I had one for Father Sky, Mother Earth, and but the sky time is kind of like Father time, kind of like this, like those two energies. And then I had one that I lit for my ancestors, and I was doing a tarot reading. This was Samhain. This was, I want to say 2019. It was the year before or 2 years before the pandemic. This shit drove me wonky, like actually kind of crazy there for a second. And I was fairly well grounded prior to this. I hadn't done any psychedelics for years, so I was pretty in like earth down. I was pretty like here, working a job, mundane stuff was mostly taken care of, right? So I think that's why it surprised me so much, like how this played out. But I've got this huge mirror in my room. It's probably 7-8 feet tall and about 3 to 4 feet wide. It's a huge mirror. It's great for like being able to see your posture when you're doing yoga and stuff like that. And I'm a vain bitch, so it's great for that too. But Panther, did you take your contacts out? Oh my god, your eyes freaked me out for a second because they must have been like closed, but it looked like your eyes had turned black. Okay, moving on. I was like, wait, did she take her contacts out? Hold on. But
no, then I'd be even more blind than I am now.
I wasn't sitting in front of the mirror intentionally. It's just, it's a very small room, and you're going to be sitting in front of the mirror if you're sitting on the floor, period. It's just going to happen. And so I had my music playing, and I was doing my little tarot reading, and I don't really remember the subject of the tarot reading. It was probably just like general guidance, or like, whatever wants to come through. I do remember like being like, I'm open to communicate. Specifically, I think the ancestors are what fucked me up though, because everything else was just like a general energy form. It wasn't like any specific entity, right? Ancestors could be anything. I didn't know what that meant. I don't know what it means. Yeah. I don't know who all my ancestors are. I don't know. Like, so, there's a couple of spots where it's like, I could have fucked up here. Like, I don't really know a lot about creating a circle or whatever it is. And, I had the music wasn't right, and I wanted to shift the music, so I wanted to lean over to my computer and change it, but it meant I had to step out of the circle or like lean across with one foot to get to my computer, and then I came back in. Maybe that fucked it up, I don't know, but I do know that happened because I was overthinking this for the weeks after, like what the fuck is going on. And while I'm sitting there, I start to get this overwhelming feeling that something is watching me and in the room with me, like there's something there. And I don't often get that feeling, but I do get it quite. I don't want to say often because it's not often, but it's not an unfamiliar feeling for me. I do frequently feel the. It's not usually in this house, but there's other houses that I've lived in. When I visit some people's houses, I get the feeling, not every house, not all the time. Sometimes when I'm walking down the street at night, sometimes not when I'm walking. There's no, so I feel like I sense things sometimes. That's the point I'm trying to make here. So I get the feeling, never gotten it before in this house, and I lived in this house for 3 years, and I haven't had it since. But this time period, this thing that happened lasted for almost 2 months, maybe 3 months. It was a long time. And I get the feeling that there's something watching. I look up in the mirror, and I had a nail on my wall back here where I hung my jean jacket from. I wear a jean jacket all the time, and it was hanging, and it was pretty like just a straight line down, the gravity was pulling it in kind of like a cone shape. And in the mirror, it looked like there was a body in it. It looked like shoulders were pulled through it, and it was like filled out a little bit. And I literally had to like stare at it for a second in the mirror, and then I looked behind me, and it was just that same cone shape. It looked different in the mirror than it looked on my wall when I turned around. And I like quadruple takes back and forth between it and that. And I wasn't expecting anything scary. I wasn't like I was just doing it, to me, like a very mystical tarot reading. It was a really intense tarot moment. And I wasn't expecting anything like this, and I wasn't trying to summon anything. I wasn't trying to have anything manifest in front of me. And that wasn't even remotely an intention I had, or some kind of thought. And I'd never done anything like this before, so I didn't really know what I was doing either. Red flag. But I think that's when I was just like, I'm done. And I started like blowing all the candles out, and I had to turn all the lights on, and that, just seeing that alone. And from here on out, I never feel alone in my room for a long time. And I feel like it starts to get really bad though. And I think that this what may have been some mental illness shit, some OCD really popping out hard. But I had to have my computer running with like a movie playing. I had to have my cell phone playing music on it, and I had to be playing a video game. Anytime I wasn't doing another task, I had to over sensory myself, or else I was hearing things. I was seeing,
it's like what I did in high school.
I was seeing like things out of the corner of my eye a lot. I kept feeling like there was something breathing on the back of my neck, like there was something hovering around me. And again, I'd never felt. The only time I feel scared in this house is when I'm in the basement with the lights off, and I think that's everybody in any basement ever. It's not because the basement is unsettling, it's just a dark space, ooh, and I gotta run up the stairs, something's gonna grab my ankle.
My bedroom was in the basement.
Oh god.
No, like I loved it.
I had an attic basement, or attic room.
An attic basement, that's very
Not an attic
impressive.
basement.
So
I love that architecture.
it was even to the point where I had this whole, and this is where I was like, oh, this was some OCD shit, because I had a ritual I had to follow in order to feel safe. At the time, I didn't recognize this the way that I explain it now. At the time, it was like, I have to turn all the lights have to be on in my room constantly. I was sleeping with lots of lights on, and I was the type of person that if my cell phone was charging across the room and that little green light was beeping, I had to put something over it, because that light would, I can't sleep with any kind of light prying into my little eyeballs. But now it was like all my lights are on, TV on, music playing, overstimulated, senses like being overdone. Because I can't think. I can't let my brain, I don't want any empty space for something to come in.
That's crazy.
And I was, I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night or something. It's lights on, open my door, leave the door open while I walk down the hallway, turn the bathroom light on, walk back to my room, shut the door so that the cat can't get out. But I needed the light. There'll always be like a bit of light on me. And then the same thing.
Have you ever heard of a flashlight?
I didn't have one. I had, but I didn't have one. I guess I could have used my cell phone. That's a good point. Wish I could go back and tell myself that. But I would walk backwards down the hallway so that my back wasn't facing the dark hallway leading to the kitchen, so that I could get back to my room. This went on for a couple of months. This type of just existence that I was having, and it got to the point where I was even asking online, like friends and people in like pagan groups on Facebook, like, I think that I need to do like a cleansing, or so. I don't know what to do. Like, I can't live like this. This is insane. And I felt crazy, and again, this is the logic where I look back and it's like, it could have been a paranormal experience where I had brought an entity into my room with me, and I could have just been having psychosis episode. I could have just been like a little batshit for a second. Like, and I remember I was talking to one of my friends, and they were asking me, are you scared because there's something there with you, or are you scared because, I don't remember how they phrased it, but it made me look at it as like, am I scared of it, or am I scared that it's here? Like, how do I phrase it? Is it scary, or is it just scary that there's something there? It hadn't done anything scary. Like it wasn't, but it just, there was something there. Like,
was it just its presence, or did you feel like it was malicious?
No,
kinda?
and
like that's what the question was kind of.
Yes, and it didn't feel malicious. It just, what is it? What does it want? And I'm like, what is happening? Kind of thing. And I did eventually do a smoke cleansing. And a week after that, I was sick as a dog. Like throat raw, coughing like crazy. It was like a flu, but without the like the congestion, the sneezing or anything like that. And maybe I didn't open the windows properly and I inhaled a lot of smoke or something like that. Like, or I don't know what. And I think I tried again about a month later, and like I tried another cleansing, and then eventually it just felt like it was over, like everything was gone, and since then it's been totally normal. This is another experience where, like, again, I can logic it away and scientifically explain it could have just been mental health issues, it could have been smoke inhalation, it could have been this, but spiritually I can also be like, I invited something in with by saying ancestors maybe, and something was like, oh yeah, I'm ready to communicate with you, let's go. And then I was like, hold up, I was just kidding. Like, what the fuck? Like, and now I can't hang the phone up. I don't know where the phone hook is. I can't even see the phone. I don't, and now I'm just hearing this dial, like I'm hearing this, right. So that happened on, it was like the peak of Samhain. I was like ready to do this. I was like, I want it to be like the peak of it. I don't remember if it was the 30th or the 31st that year, and it was like I think there was a full moon on Halloween or on Samhain that year too, so it was
that was
2020 was the full moon,
so it was like a perfect coalescence of like, it was just a beautiful ripe like peak energy. And I just
remember because it was Halloween and it was a full moon and we couldn't do shit because of the pandemic.
Awesome.
Then it must have been that year. Yeah. And
it's like when it's like storming outside and you can like crack open your door and like, catch a couple raindrops on your hand, but shady, you just like freaking open up all the windows and the storm is coming in the house.
That's the thing, is like, I'd never done anything like that at all. So it's kind of like when Dukesley's like, don't do eclipse magic. Like, that's kind of essentially, it's like, I went from 0 to 5,000. And or I didn't, and I just had a mental health crisis.
So one of the things I am a big advocate for in general in like any spell work or anything like this is being specific. Like, specific with your intentions, specific with who or that what helps. Energy you're bringing in. Especially, like speaking of, like, ancestors, there are plenty of people in our ancestral lines who were probably
big ol'
completely
assholes.
Awful people.
Yeah.
Like, if you go back far enough, like, maybe your parents were great, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, but if you go back far enough, everyone has assholes in their family. And everyone, like, and sometimes
and vice versa.
Don't know everything about, like, your grandparents or whatever. But when you're doing ancestral work, it's like it kind of, you don't have to name people by specific name unless you want to work with someone specifically, but you can specify like people, only the ancestors who have good will and good intentions for me, or something similar to that, and that will like keep out the people who just want to fuck with you, who were awful people who haven't changed their ways in the spirit world. Some people, you know, might, but and then one of the things like we say is all that is unclean, evil, or impeding to our ways, get out. It's depart and be gone. So like that, I feel like that's like a very good catch-all, unclean, evil, or impeding to our ways kind of thing. But like, yeah, when you're working with ancestors, you don't know what you're going to get unless you ask specifically or specify, I don't want people who don't want good for me.
This reminds me of
another thing too. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Do you mind if I interject?
Yeah,
just talking about being specific too, but communicate with me via these tarot cards, right? Communication, especially when communicating with things that are not of here anymore, right? What I think there might be a lot of unintentional scaring going on and things like that, right? Because and I'm sure Dukesley with regarding the Fae too, like they're not like us, right? Like these what you might have reached out to might not have any idea of how you were responding to it, right? And might have just thought that was the normal means of communicating with you that you were asking for, and not realizing how it was affecting you. Another thing too is after inviting things in, make sure that you ask them to leave immediately afterwards. And a lot of the times this is with the end of a circle where you do like the closing. So I don't know if you actually closed your circle or like wrapped up your circle at the end or not.
I don't know. I don't remember because I started panicking.
You might have panicked.
I feel like my role is like, don't be a dumbass, like, because this is also the fire hazard with the other one. So it's like, hey, I did this. Can you tell me how I fucked it up so other people will fuck it up like this?
But even if you don't do a circle, which I don't do circles when I do stuff, but after I do my offerings, for example, and so this is part something that I learned out of the book Consorting with Spirits by Jason Miller, which is fantastic, by the way. I'm wrapping it up now, but one of the things that he mentions is when you are doing some sort of an offering or any sort of like communication, you know, make sure you have an opening and a closing. You want to say farewell and goodbye at the end.
I just remembered that I put an offering out. You want to know what it was? It was a piece of chocolate. It was some Dr. Pepper, and it was a little nug of some green goodness. I was like, because I was like, this stuff is
chocolate is great for sure.
I was
do
like,
chocolate a
this
lot.
is all so valuable to me, and this is all of my favorite stuff. So I'm going to put this in my offering dish, and this means a lot to me. So this is my gift. So it reminds me of a dream my mom told me she had once, where it was a couple of months or weeks before she got pregnant with me, and her dad had just died. And she had a dream that the phone rang, and she went over and picked up the phone, and her dad was on the phone, and he said like, "Hey baby," or whatever he called her. I can't remember what pet name he used for her. And she just said, "No daddy, you're dead." And he said, "I know baby, but," and she said, "No, you're dead." And he said, "I know, but," and then she hung up the phone and woke up, and it's haunted her whole life, because she's like, what was he going to tell me? What wouldn't I let him say? And I think that's in some ways kind of a feeling I have about this experience I had too, because reflecting on it, it didn't feel what's the word? Malevolent. It didn't feel so. Maybe I had like a cool ancestor. Maybe now it's like, what communication could I have had, and did I fuck that up?
You can always recreate that.
You never fucked it up. Yeah,
you can always ask they're there, and now you know better ways to first guard yourself and open up to the good spirits. Good,
and you know what to not ask for. Like, don't do this to me again.
And also you can
Fair.
like say
Gotta go get
communicate
some
this
more
way.
weed chocolate
Like,
and Dr. Pepper, though.
like,
Yeah, they
there
obviously
are-
Try
wanted
water
that.
instead of soda since they're ancestors, and
Yeah.
they don't.
Are you kidding? They need
What?
to try this. This shit
Hold on
rules.
now.
They had water back then. They didn't have Dr. Pepper back then.
No, I know. That's
But I
what
also,
I'm saying.
They can be down for
Yeah.
something new.
but I do think like having like maybe like 3 different forms that they can communicate to you through. Felix is crying for dinner.
My baby.
But so like have
Me
tarot
too.
cards. They might not want to use tarot cards, but have tarot cards, have a pendulum, have a notebook for free writing, and be like ask like, do you want to communicate through tarot? Do you want to communicate through this?
Dreams is
And,
also a good one. You can
but,
ask
like,
for them
have
to communicate
option.
through dreams.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
but then I can't escape, so I don't know about that.
I mean, well, it's all up to you, you know?
Look, they can write in a little notebook and I can
like-
shut that shit and walk away. But if I'm in a
Yeah.
dream world, I could be trapped. And I have a lot of false awakenings and multi-layered dreams.
Yeah.
Once I start to have spiritual experiences with my dreams,
Yeah.
I get trapped
Mhm.
in them, and that's
Yeah. Well, that's why you present options that you're comfortable
yeah.
with. Like, I'm comfortable with spirit messages in my dreams, but you are
You're
not.
brave.
So, like,
You're brave.
well,
girl.
it's the only, like, it's, like, the only dreams I have, and it's always, like, people I know very closely. So,
I have.
I-
Look, we already talked
I
about my
also-
horror obsession. My dreams get.
we have a completely different dream experience.
my dreams
Like, we
get a
have
little
completely
whack.
different.
Like
Yeah, yeah. I dream about money.
what?
Or lack of,
Wow.
actually.
That rules.
Okay, Capricorn.
No,
Yeah.
about my Twitch payout not getting it.
Oh, that's right. I was
So-
like, yeah,
This
just
just
like-
reminded me of something, and it's really random. But if you guys don't listen to the what's it called, Books and Broomsticks podcast, that's
Mhm.
very good. But they just did one where they had a guest and they talked about Korean folk magic, I believe it was. And apparently,
Ooh.
in dreams, if you see poop, you're supposed to touch it. It means money's coming to you.
Oh.
It's
Duly
like
noted.
money
I'm gonna
poop
pass.
dreams.
I'm gonna pass on that.
I mean, it's dream, so.
I don't dream
but yeah,
about
so-
actual like poop or pee, but I dream about toilets a lot.
I have never dreamed about any
I
of
That's
that.
interesting.
usually dream that I have to
Huh.
pee really bad, but there's only a toilet like in the middle of the grocery store with no walls.
Oh,
Or
Oh
I
my
walk
god, my
into-
mom has dreams like that all the time.
It's lack of privacy. I did deep research on it because I was having them so often that I was like, what the hell? Or like I'd go into a public restroom and it was just a wall of toilets with no walls, or like glass walls around it, and everyone had to watch you go to the bathroom. And it's feeling exposed in vulnerable moments is kind of a symbol I came to in it. Feeling like everyone can see things that they shouldn't be able to see about you, and having no privacy. And as a streamer that overshares
I was
on the
gonna say.
internet, that shit lines up.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I would not take it off the table completely. Just try to, like, if you wanted
Well,
to
Samhain's
contact
approaching,
ancestors,
so
like
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe it's
like
time
if
for
you
round
want
two.
to contact, like, take precautions and like have different forms that they can communicate that you're comfortable with, because it might have just been like they stuck around because they wanted to tell something to you and you weren't receiving the message.
I'm gonna
So they
boot up.
stuck around hoping that they could. So
I'm gonna boot up my
like-
roadcaster. I'm gonna set up a second mic. I'm gonna have a camera. I'm gonna be like,
Yes.
"Yo, join me for a podcast, ancestors."
Literally, yes.
Uh,
Yes, welcome.
But yeah, I would say, like, I think it's worth trying now that you know more, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I was
That's fun.
definitely like baby noob. Babies first. I mean, it's good. At least I didn't get my innards released by a demon or something. Like, at least it was just a little knock. Someone wore
it
my
was just
jacket.
a
What am I
little
upset
spooky.
about? They were just like, "Oh, your jacket looks warm."
They're like, oh, I'm comfy.
do I fit in this? Does this look good?
Okay, well, does anyone have any other stories or things that they'd like to share?
Well, I figured maybe we could start wrapping up, and I wanted to ask everyone what they're going to be doing this Samhain in particular. If there's any plans, if there's any cool little rituals that are going to be done. If you're just going to chill and eat candy, watch over the garden wall.
I already did that this year. It's so good. I love it.
It's my go-to every year.
Weren't we gonna
over
watch
garden
it? Like,
we should do it.
weren't we?
We were
going to
also
watch it?
supposed to watch The Last Unicorn, and we didn't do
Unicorn.
that.
And also practical magic.
we got so many things.
Sorry, I was gone for like a week and a half. But yeah. Yeah, we should start, like, think of that not during the podcast. We should think of that after the podcast, but we never do. But yeah, okay. Anyway.
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on for this upcoming Samhain for everyone? Anything cool? I'll go first. No, nothing really. I'm just it's been a while since I hung out with the Fae. So, like, on my terms. So I think I'm gonna hang out with them a little bit. It's been a while since I've given them stuff that they don't take from my hands, and this is like I said, my Fae time. I don't work with like spirits or ghosts or anything. This is a time for Fae for me. So want to tap back into that a little bit more control there, because they like to take advantage of my presence, I've realized. So give them something back. Maybe they'll leave me alone for a little bit. They probably hate the fact I'm talking about this. And anything else? Well, I gotta watch over the garden wall, and I also have cookies to bake, and I always bake a pumpkin pie every Halloween. So that is my itinerary, personally.
I don't really have any specific plans, to be honest. I'm just kind of winging it this year.
Cool. Well, maybe you'll be reconvening with some
Maybe
old
I will.
friends.
I might. Wait, what does that mean?
Some old
Your
friends.
ancestors.
Oh,
What
okay. I thought that I missed something. So
Nah.
I was like, what mean?
I was
friends?
like, hold up, is someone coming over? Hold on, I'm not prepared to entertain.
Surprise!
Yeah,
What about you, Panther? Oh, get owned. What about you?
Did you want to finish, Shady?
No, I was just gonna fill the space with meaningless
Okay.
words as usual.
I think I'm just gonna kind of chill. My plans are kind of up in the air because my boyfriend's away on work right now, and he was supposed to be back that weekend, but now it sounds like it's gonna be extended till the next weekend. So I'll probably be home alone again, and I don't know if I'm gonna do anything too spoopy while I'm home alone. So it might just be I definitely want to refresh all my protections with the Witch's New Year. I find it's a great time to do that.
Right.
So I usually do a big house cleanse, big home protection and everything like that. If it's nice
I'm
outside,
definitely
I'll
feeling
do
the New
yard
Year
too.
vibes.
Yeah. I have some pumpkins I might carve, so we'll
Fun.
see. So another great like little protection working if you want it to be. So I love using jack-o'-lanterns as a little extra home protection during this time of year. But
Cute.
yeah,
True,
so
true,
those
true.
are the main things. Otherwise, I'm kind of up in the air. I don't think I'm gonna do anything like huge. I've always wanted to do a dumb supper though, and I've never done one
Yeah.
yet. So if I am by myself on Samhain, then I might do that, because
That's what I usually
that's kind
do
of what
with
I'm
my-
doing anyways, right? Is like eating alone
True.
in silence. So
That's usually what I do with my pumpkin pies that I do.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do
Ooh,
that.
I could make my I have a chocolate chip pumpkin bread recipe that I love to make on Samhain, so maybe I'll make some of that
Ooh.
this year.
Cool.
Yum
I've
yum.
got lots of
Yummy.
canned pumpkin I need to use.
What about you, Fuchsia? Any plans?
So, October is kind of like a whole Samhain event, just because like a lot of stuff going on at the witchcraft shop, as you would imagine. Like we did Friday we did a pajama party where we watched Halloween movies. We watched The Addams Family, and
Great,
went
yes.
into the basement to speak with spirits, and like that was fun. And tomorrow I'm going to the cemetery. We're doing a conjuring spirits at the graveside kind of thing. And that
Beautiful.
cemetery has like a lot of ghost stories associated with it. Like there's one statue that disappears when it's storming out because she was like, it's a statue memorializing a kid that was struck by lightning and died. So it disappears when it's storming out and it moves around the cemetery. So that's cool. And then Friday before Halloween Samhain is on Monday. So the Friday before, we're having like a whole like outdoor party at the witchcraft shop. So
Cool.
I will be wearing this and maybe a little more elaborate. But Halloween itself, I usually have a tradition of watching Hocus Pocus with some wine and one of my best friends. And so we'll probably do that. But other than that, like the last couple of years I've been like making it a point to have like, I always give my ancestors, like I have an ancestor altar. I always give my ancestors like offerings of water and wine and like little like flowers, fresh flowers. I burn incense for them. But on Halloween, on Samhain, I specifically like I make a plate of like their favorite foods. They're like I get pierogi, I get kielbasa, very Polish, but also corn. Like I always get corn on the cob because we had a vegetable farm and my dad always like loved when the corn would come in, and like I would make chocolate chip cookies because that was like my best friend's kind of thing. So like I like make this whole plate for them, and I always like I make a plate for myself of the same things, and I put it on their altar, and then I eat it. I don't have a dumb supper because also I have a roommate who would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" and then destroy all the silence. But I do like sit down and have a meal with them. So that's kind of just like the actual day, night of Samhain, because I always do that at night. But that's pretty much it. Like I always watch Hocus Pocus, and lately I've just been having like all my ancestral food. Chocolate chip cookies, totally an ancestral food. But I love it. But like all my ancestral food.
Look, I might mix it up this year. I might leave some Doritos.
Ooh, Cool Ranch for the cool guys. And one final question, real quick.
Okay.
This is a quick one. Favorite Halloween candy? Name one.
Oh God. Dark chocolate Reese's.
Can I be a heathen and say candy corn?
Yeah, I love candy corn. Mine is Reese's, but candy corn is a close second.
Reese's is my close
dark
second.
chocolate Reese's Thins. Okay, but if I'm thinking like Halloween candy, I would always trade for Kit Kats. I would always trade for. Yeah, I wanted Kit Kats, and I wanted oh my God, Fun Dip.
Oh yes,
I loved Fun Dip.
I loved me.
Right. Everyone, you all get my Kit Kats. You go for you.
I'll give you something else for the Kit Kat.
Dark chocolate. I would want the dark chocolate. Any dark chocolate.
You can have all my chocolate. That was the worst thing. Like Halloween, like everyone gives chocolate, and like I can't eat any of this. So like I love Swedish Fish, and like I love getting Skittles and Sour Patch Kids.
Jolly Ranchers are always pretty good.
So like actually when I get Halloween candy, which I kind of opened last night because I was really munchy and didn't have any food, but when I get Halloween candy, I make it a point to get allergen free candy, like gluten free, no chocolate, like no dairy. I make it a point because for me, like it sucked getting so much chocolate and having to give it to my kids, my siblings. So like I always get the allergen free stuff, but like I genuinely love like Swedish Fish and Skittles and everything as Halloween candy. Yeah.
All right.
And
Ponders.
candy corn. I do love candy corn, but the candy corn
and lollipops,
pumpkins,
the best.
The pumpkins, the best. Yeah.
And lollipops.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so I think we're ready to wrap up. This is definitely our probably our longest episode, but I think it was worth it because it's such a special.
We had a whole
bug
disruption of
tangent.
bugs.
Yeah,
And we
that's true.
dressed up for it, so you know
gonna
what?
keep
we're
it
gonna
in.
we're gonna milk these costumes.
The bug tangent was fun. I'm gonna keep it in.
I'm sorry. I think you should.
Yeah.
Thank
They
you.
can hear my scream.
Yeah, I don't know. This has been a great episode. And our next one, do we have a date solidified? I don't think we do yet.
I don't think
No,
we
we
do.
don't.
I don't think
We'll
so.
figure that
So
out.
It'll
join
be our
the
full
Discord
moon
and
one,
keep an
so-
eye out.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
join our Discord. Keep an eye on. I've also added a section to the website that
Approximately
shows
2 weeks from now.
when our new episode is going to be live streamed.
The next
so
full moon is November 8th.
so
What
it'll,
day of the week is that?
That is on a Tuesday, so
So
So it's
it'll be
probably
fun.
going to be the Thursday before.
it'll probably be like the
Oof.
3rd or the 4th or
yeah,
something.
November 3rd or
Okay.
so. And we'll be talking about the full moon for November. And do y'all have anything that y'all want to share or promote? I've been back to regular streaming. I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm
Good shit.
doing all right. Hanging in there. I've been playing a lot of modded Stardew Valley. I finally get to play it after I worked so hard to get 400 mods installed.
It's awesome.
And I just released a YouTube video today that is actually relevant to Celestial
Oh,
Cafe. It's
it
not a Twitch
is.
tutorial. It is a flip through of all 43 Oracle and Tarot decks that I own. And it's only about 30 minutes long. So each deck is only on
Wow.
screen. Yeah. Each deck's only on screen for 30 to 60 seconds. I tried to.
Man, I did a video of all like just my favorite tarot decks, and it was still like 40 minutes.
Yeah, if I did like I want to kind of follow this up with like 5 beginner decks or my 5 favorite decks, or I want to kind of follow it up with more
Yeah.
specialized videos, but this I just wanted to show everything I had. And I also think it's cool, like window shopping. I would love to see other people do videos like this because you get introduced to so many decks that you wouldn't normally see. So that just went live on my YouTube channel today, which is we have YouTube handles now, so I'm at Hey Shady Lady on YouTube, which I always
Oh.
was really, but
I haven't set that up yet.
and I think that's
It
all.
automatically saved your channel name.
Yeah.
So as long as you had a channel URL
Yeah,
already, it auto
I
saves
haven't set it
for
up
you.
on my other channel that doesn't.
Oh,
have a
right.
channel.
So do y'all have anything that y'all like to shout out to our followers?
Yeah, actually, I added astrology readings to my site a few weeks ago. Thank you to anyone who has purchased one and enjoyed one. I've been enjoying giving them out and creating that dance between the individual and the cosmic goodness that helps influence them. Just want to let people know that it's totally available. Super exciting. And I'm actually going to be releasing a new Astro Tarot reading within the next couple weeks, where it's going to combine the two. So it's going to be really fun. It's going to be completely lunar based for all of us fans of La Lune. She's so beautiful. So that'll be fun. Keep an eye out for that.
I'll have to keep an eye out for sure.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Just curious, like what it's going to be. Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't really have much coming up. I need to get my stuff together. I've been doing a lot of back end stuff and just like kind of housekeeping and things like that, and getting some supplies and so on. So I hope to be returning to streaming here soon. I also hope to have my Samhain altar decorate with me video up here soon, and then also physical. I know I've been saying this for a little while, but physical products coming to my shop soon. So I'm finally like taking my time and getting like the nice packaging that I want, and just like the nitty gritty little bits and stuff. So yeah, soon. TM.
Soon.
And that's a great segue into me for saying things I've been saying I'm going to do for a while. I need to restock my candle shop like really badly, but I was on vacation and I said I would restock it when I came back from vacation, and then I had a lot of shit go down and life sucks right now, so I didn't. And I also accidentally left my Etsy shop on vacation mode until today, so
Womp womp.
but I do need to make candles because I actually make candles for my local shop, so, and they ask for
Cool.
more. So I will be making candles this coming week.
Woo!
I promise.
Hooray.
Get some.
With an
Get some-
asterisk. I promise, if more life stuff doesn't happen. But I haven't been making. I need to get back into making videos. Just like life has just thrown me completely.
Yeah.
I was gonna say thrown me a curveball, but it's not even that.
No,
It's
it
thrown
threw
me
you a fucking brick in the face.
I was gonna say a meteor, but yeah. I promised to try, right? But I don't know. Doing stuff like this has really, helped me feel better. So I need to start doing stuff, and so hopefully, look out for some content for me beginning of November. I would say don't expect
Yay.
anything this week because I have to work, but.
Dope.
But,
all right.
Yeah.
Well,
beginning of November, I'll have stuff.
this has been the Celestial Cafe podcast. If you would like to, you can check out our website at celestialcafe.org and get all of our social media links, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, all the goodies, and also be able to see when our new episode is going live. If you're listening on podcasting platforms, it would be super awesome if y'all could leave us a review. It helps us out a ton. And we have loved reading the reviews y'all have left so far. They warm our little hearts. So thank you so much for the support and for listening. And we hit over 100 views on our last episode, our last podcast, which I think is really good. So I just want to say thank you so much for supporting us. We're closing in on our year anniversary of Celestial Cafe. I think that's happening either in late November or early December. We'll have to look back and figure out exactly when we first started streaming the podcast. We didn't start releasing it on podcasting platforms until June of this year, but
I think it was winter solstice.
I think so. So
Yeah.
That's very exciting. We're closing in on a year, but thank you everyone so much for hanging out with us, and we are gonna head out, I suppose, and we'll see you in the next episode of Celestial Cafe. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.